Sorry, folks, I can't help it. Just, I got the giggles, man. I'm sorry. Tony just told me a funny joke, and I'm doing a fake laugh though. But it was fun. It was funny. It was a fake laugh. Kill the music here. We got 0 people in the chat, but there's 179 people over on the side. How does that work? Is this going to be one of those nights that we need to start it over or something where the numbers are jumping up and down all crazy and stuff? Thank you for that donation.
Just caught up.
Something I wanted to tell some people. People thought the other day that somebody gave me $1,000 donation. That was actually check money, which came out to about $20. I think it's closer to like 50 or something like that. But it was a generous donation, but it wasn't $1,000. I was like, well, people were like, you got $1,000 donation.
No, it was like 1,000 check.
Yeah,
I think they call them Kronoi or something. But it was
comes
like,
out to $50. Right?
Yeah, it was like about $45.
Yeah. So, anyways,
appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it nonetheless. But everybody's talking about, because some people that don't like me are like, he's getting $1,000 donations. Like, first of all, stop worrying about what I do. Just
first of all, I wish.
Let us be. They don't know how to let us be, everybody's all, and then he makes another crazy statement today, dude. The guy, dude, if anybody knows what's going on, okay, it's beyond ridiculous now, dude, okay? I don't even take him seriously anymore. I'm going to tell you folks exactly what's going on with me, and it's not going to take you 5 minutes, and then we're going to move on and put it in our rearview mirror. I got chewed out today, okay? Lawyer came back to town, and just, said, chill out, okay? Just, basically in no uncertain term. I guess Tony's laughing at me. Yeah, I mean, I have no choice but to say, hey, okay, you're right. He's like, they don't have anything. They have nothing. They have not. They were instigators in this whole thing. Do I look concerned? Does the concern just drop off of my? Am I just like, just. And then this other guy, I'm gonna address you, Douglas. You said something in the chat. I'm not gonna say your last name, but you said that I said I was enjoying this. I was having too much fun. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. These people, they lie. Their people lie. It's just a big old soup of lies. Let me tell you, what I said was, I'm doing my own thing and I'm having fun. Okay, go talk to them over there, because we're still doing our own thing. I was trying to do it at that time, but they didn't want to let me. Jimmy, I see you, Jimmy B. Jimmy's having his own problems with them too. Everybody, Holly, they've come after my listeners. They've come after my wife. They've come after my boys. I gotta protect my family. I'm sorry, these people, And then he makes another ridiculous statement today. Even if it was true, I wouldn't even care. There's nothing you can do or say. They can't squirm out of it. They can't get out of it. We started off today in their show, and I know that other show, the redneck reality show that's going on. My lawyer's gonna be mad for me. Look, I'm not gonna say their names. The redneck reality show. Let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. Let the other one, the Swamp Man, give him donations. Let him do what he's got to do. He needs them to win. He needs it. Okay, he needs it. He doesn't have a choice. He's got to back him now. So he's doing what he's got to do, but he's saying some crazy. Just every day, it's more. Just I wake up to this. I can't even. I wake up and I'm like, wow. Even 4 or 5. I sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. Am I lying, Tony?
No, I mean, when I get home, you're awake, and then when I wake up, you're awake. So
yeah, I don't sleep much, and it's not even bothering me. I had a very good talk with the attorney today, and everything's fine. We still got to go after these people that claim this home invasion thing. We got to do it one step at a time, and if I can get the funds together to go big on this thing, I will. I mean, I could do it now, but I'd be losing a lot of my time, and time is what is more important than anything else. Time's more important than money to me. When you're watching my show, you're spending your time with me. You're spending time with us. That we greatly appreciate you doing that. We're gonna have a hell of a guest on tonight. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna enjoy it. This is gonna be a good show. We're not gonna worry about these people in the peanut gallery. Let them talk. They're in the cheap seats. They're in the Their noses are bleeding up there in the cheap seats. They don't even know what's going on, man. They're too cheap to come down here and get involved in the real stuff. You know, they're too lazy. So let them heckle and talk from up top. What I am going to tell people though is stop telling me to make peace with these guys. Okay, these guys. I don't make peace with terrorists. Okay, I don't make peace. I don't negotiate. I don't make peace with people who terrorize people. Even if it wasn't me, even if it weren't doing it to me, if they weren't doing it to me to begin with, I was sticking up for people. People, if you remember. And you can't just block and delete hundreds of profiles. So quit saying that. I'm losing patience with that. If you try to tell me to go and make peace with these people because they believe other people are doing that, and believe what you want. Okay, you don't know the truth. You don't know everything's going on. Don't try to tell me about making peace with people. If somebody was threatening your family daily, you wouldn't do that, would you? You wouldn't do that. They're threatening my businesses. They're threatening my show, my hobby, my livelihoods. Everything. They're going to take me down every which way. They're going to take me down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You know, according to them. Hold on one second. Every day it's a new nightmare. But you know what I've done the last week? I turned it into a new adventure. Thank you, Jitesh, for that. You're a nice guy. God bless everybody who donates. I appreciate it. And if you don't donate, God bless you too. This guy was issuing a challenge, say that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. How about that? Does that make you happy? Are you going to stop trying to scam people and mess with me now? Probably not. I have no problem saying that. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. You know, his Father, the one true God. That's my Father. That's what they. I don't know who their Father is. I have no idea. I'm not going to say their names. I'm not going to say their names. I'm just saying. It's just all I can do is they're trying to get me to not say this. Okay, all right, fine. All right. Right now, it's sort of tit for tat, but I'm just waiting on them, and I'm not going to respond. Folks, I need your help, okay? I need your help not responding. That's my problem, because there's such easy targets. It's so hard. It's so hard to not say something because it's such an easy target. It's like, dude, you're going to say that? Really? It's like if they lived in the biggest glass house on earth and they were throwing boulders, and you just want to throw one right back. It's hard for me. It really is. I don't know what to tell you. I'm wearing my Chupacabra shirt today. I don't know if you noticed that. Chupacabra. Okay. What does it say at the bottom? I don't know what it even says. It says the goat sucker. Chupacabra, because one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is Chupacabra. We should put that in the title. You should put that in the title. Put it in Cryptids, Pale Crawler, Dogman, Bigfoot. I'm always giving him too many words, and he just throws 2 or 3 on there. You know me. I just like to go big. Whatever. Everything. So according to these people, I'm a big poopakaka head. My eyebrows look like the devil, and my wife and me are witches. They love to throw that word around, witches. They love to call everybody a witch. I'm not a witch. Don't practice magic in any shape or form.
People say I am a bad man.
And I do things that are not correct to do. But anyway, we're waiting for the chat to get a little full, and then we're gonna talk about something real quick. Here's the news on the studio, folks. So you know, these people are very angry because I didn't quit. They wanted me to quit, and they were like, "He didn't quit. He's just trying to fleece people and all this other whatever, blah 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 blah." I lost money, dude. I lost money these last 2 weeks. Our subscriber numbers were going in at 1,900 every 28 days. They're down to 450. So they can claim that as a victory because of their mass reporting of our videos. So that's lost revenue right there. Here's the thing. Let them report. If the show doesn't make a dime, we're still going to be here. We're going to do what we do. If nothing else, just to spite them. They're so mad because we didn't run away. They inspired me. Actually, folks, Tony and Anthony, if I'm lying, what did we do? We have everything out of the studio except for this table and the mics.
Yep.
Everything's gone.
It's bare bones.
It's bare bones.
Skeleton crew as far as equipment.
So now we're going to have to move everything back in because guess what? I talked to them and we're going to re-sign the lease. We're going to sign it on Monday. They're just doing the paperwork, whatever. They were generous enough they wanted to keep us here, and so we decided to stay. Even though this place has its issues. It's home. And it's going to be cheaper than where we were going to move to. So that's a blessing in disguise. That one got taken out from under us, and we were like, you know what? Why don't we just stay? We talked about it, right? Mm-hmm. It's a pain in the butt. We're going to have to move a bunch of boxes back in. They're all sitting in our living room. But the thing is, I mean, you know, everybody keeps talking to me. I've had about 1,000 pep talks. I had a talk. Ken Gerhardt gave me a talk. David Wedley gave me a talk. Thank you guys for being friends. Nick Redfern reached out to me. Who else? Barton Nunley. You name it. I've been talking on to a bunch of people. Getting talked to Jerry Williams today with his wife. Everybody's saying the same thing. Just go do your show. Focus on you. Don't worry about these people. Don't worry about the hate. Thank you for the donations. We appreciate it. It's definitely could be used right now. I mean, we're blessed.
I think so. I mean, if you really think about it, we could just use this time to redecorate the office anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's things that we had planned to do that we put off because there was so much stuff in here. So we got it cleared. We can figure it out now. Yeah.
In struggle, there's opportunity. So
that's right. Come see me at Dragon's Lair on the 27th and or 29th. I might do both days. I don't know. David was supposed to do one of them, David Weatherly, but he's out of books right now. He's out of books. And I told him I have a stockpile of his books in there if he wants to do it. But I think he's got a lot of other stuff going on. I know tomorrow Ken's coming to do a signing. I might go check him out just so I can aggravate him. I like to aggravate him.
David might want to take our box because they're already pre-signed, I think.
Right? Pre-signed, yeah. We had taken the box. That was the night that Ryan Edwards almost got killed by a train. That was the night. It was funny at the time, but it was funny when we talk about it. Me and Lyle were laughing about it, but it's not funny. It's not funny. But it was funny because he comes out wearing a cape. Like, Ryan, I love you, Ryan. I'm messing with you because I think you're a great guy. You have a big future in this field. Very good guy, honest guy. Hey, Gil, thank you for that story, dude, by the way. And did you get? I gave you the address to that case, right, Gil? Just in case I didn't, I think I did. But anyway, just give me a yes or no. Larry, thank you. Our sponsor, give them the scoop on Larry.
Oh, so Larry Fisher owns Fisher and Sons Roofing, and he's a proud sponsor of PRT. He's always in the chat. He's been a longtime friend. If you need, if you have hail damage on any of your roofs, or you got an old roof, just contact Larry Fisher. He can get you hooked up. His crews prioritize jobs for him specifically because he pays them better. They do quicker work. They do better work. If you go with another guy, it's going to happen when it happens, and you're going to be on their time. But if you go with Larry Fisher, it's going to happen on your time. And the crews that work for him are enthusiastic about putting other jobs on the back burner and prioritizing jobs for him because they can make more money with him.
That's right.
So.
And every time we've sent
people
them,
right.
That's right. Every time we've sent anybody to him, they've come back with good reviews, whatever. Somebody's talking about the whole thing with Vault. Look, I don't want to have to say anything about Vault. Let me just put it to you this way. I'm not worried, okay? I'm like Mad Magazine. What, me worry? I don't care. Even if it was true and it was real, which, folks, I'm going to let Vault tell you, okay? That's his situation. That is not my situation. He's a grown man. He's got his own reasons. He's going to explain that. He's coming out with a thing. So let these people spin and twist and say what they got to say, okay? If there was some sort of backdoor deal that was done, right, or some kind of an agreement, you think he's going to go and plaster it all over his deal? No, okay? I'm not worried. I'm not panicking. These people, I prayed really hard in earnest before I came on this show tonight. Thank you, Jerry and Ella Williams. I appreciate your prayer. We had a long talk and a prayer. And then I had a long talk with Barton, a really good friend of mine. one of the best people in the business. And he told me, you know, he's like, okay. Hold on one second. Somebody's messaging me here. Yeah, so people are actually just taking it like it is, like a big old joke. I mean, anything that comes out of that camp. I mean, you saw the magazine article, right? It was so.
Yeah.
I bet I got about 100 messages from that talking about how stupid that was. I posted it all up there for everybody to see. Go read it, all the smack or whatever. That right there, that whole article is the whole thing. It's libel. The whole thing is libel. They're liable. Whoever wrote that, right? We don't know. Whoever wrote that is going to be knee deep in it. We can't say anything else. That's all. That's as far as I can go. I don't want to leave you guys hanging in suspense, but I've been told today to shut up. So, and you know I need to shut up. It's been coming. I just have been having too much anger, and there's one or two ways to play that. You either let it come out as humor, or you let it eat you alive and you come out screaming. I've done both. I've been angry and I've tried to or I just put it into a humorous skit, whatever. Truth is, though, if they had anything, they would have already gone after me, but they don't because they started this whole thing. You don't go in and hit somebody and then run and tell the cops that you got into a fight. That's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. So whenever someone does something that's not correct to do, and if you do it back to them, well, it's kind of both ways, right? So from now on, with these people, I'm not going to respond to him. I just take what he says and put it on my Facebook. Go look at it. Go look at what this guy. It's like imploding. You know, it's called damage control. And then they go and they like parrot everything we say. It's called damage control. It's called damage. I threw a rock. It's a rock. It's a rock. And it's like you just play it over and over again, and they just keep on. And then with damage control. And then he's like, I'm over there trying to write my stories with AI. Y'all need to leave me alone. All right? I put a voodoo curse on you. You know, who cares? Go ahead. Do what you have to do. Say what you have to say. I don't care about him. I don't give a crap.
You know what's funny about one thing on that article? It said, so and so, you know, Swamp Boy is a legend or legendary whatever.
It's a massive brand.
Yeah, a massive brand, right? And but like one tag that I that stuck with me was it said, as part of the YouTube Creators Club, an exclusive club for I don't know, like big content creators or whatever. You only have to have 1,000 subscribers to be part of the YouTube Creators Club. It's like some little crappy club on Discord, and like every now and then they'll have like digital meetings. And yeah, they'll have like events. You only have to have 1,000 subscribers. Like, what do you mean exclusive club?
I guess I'm a part of that club, right? Like,
yeah, I guess. I mean, if you want to go join a little Discord server.
And folks, the thing is too, like they suppressed our new viewership, and that's fine. We're gonna get it back because once these people are done, you know, gone, whatever. Yeah, massive brand. How about massive canned ham? That's what
we'll be fine. I mean, we'll stay here, and you know, we could. What's funny about that is I could probably film paint drying and probably get 1,000 viewers and join.
I thought about that last night. Last night, folks, was the first time in months. I was telling Tony, I was like, I played Age of Empires before. I tried for 5 minutes. It was like, oh, I can't do this. I played part 3, got on there and had a game. Took 3 hours. Yeah. But it was you know, and I told Anthony and Tony, I was like, it was supposed to do something to relax me. Anthony and Tony keep telling me, go play your games. I have a couple, like 2 or 3 that I like to play, war strategy games. It's all I play. And so I get on there and I'm like, this should be relaxing and fun. I'm like, so, yeah. It wasn't but it's a great game. But if I wasn't under all this pressure and stress from business and all this other stuff, then I would probably have done better. I'm going to tell you something, though, and this is a weird story, and I'll start off with this one. This one was one, I think I touched on this one once. There was a woman who had a son who had died, okay? And I don't know if I've told you this one. I'm pretty sure I have. If I have, if you've heard this one, then tell me yes, you've heard it. If please, because don't make me tell, because I can tell other ones. So I got 7 stories or 6 stories I could tell. Well, I guess 7 because one leads into another, but I can tell the stories, and we're going to tell some on Sunday. Folks, the problem, though, is I've been so busy today, and not just with this baloney over here. I got real problems, real things to do, not worry about phonies and this, whatever. This doesn't take up every waking minute of my day. On the phone with real estate attorney, which I paid him, by the way, I was going to tell you.
Okay.
I paid that. And then we have another situation we're dealing with the other attorney. So, yeah. And then there was another one. There's 3 different people I had to talk to, and I got confused with one of them. And I got so turned around. It's a funny story before I get into this other one. I got so turned around that I started giving the wrong lawyer the wrong story, and he's like, what the hell is this? I'm your real estate attorney. I'm like, okay, sorry. That has nothing to do with that case. And he's like, how many lawyers do you got? And I'm like, 5. 5 firms, but different, for different things. Different, because you're an adult when you got to have 5 attorneys. I was talking to John Bell earlier. He's got 2. I told him, I said, yeah, you're on your way, buddy. It'll happen. Look, here's the thing. You got to protect yourself. We have a trademark attorney, that does copywriting, trademarking, all that. He's very involved. So we are talking now. We're going to move forward with Outlaw. What's it called? Paranormal Presents Outlaw Radio, or no, Outlaw?
Probably just Outlaw Paranormal.
Outlaw Paranormal. And we're going to put that. That's going to be our channel. We're going to try and do that by the end of the year. We're going to try and get it done and be on Rumble. We're not going to abandon YouTube, but Rumble is going to be for other things. And so there's going to be a show that's going to come out on Rumble.
It'll be for stuff we can't put on YouTube.
Yeah, and we can talk freely.
So we can say those dirty words.
We can say bad words. You never attack women, except for less than minutes me. Then you can just attack them all the day, just all day.
Unless she burns the toast. I don't like burned toast. Then you
burn
can
my
attack
toast
them all
and
day
there's no
long.
avocado on there, then you know what's going to happen? Knuckle sandwich. That's all I'm saying. So what I'm going to tell you right now, we got the Patreon. I think we owed 2 or 3 people that are new. Somebody said, I'm going to cancel. Don't cancel. We're going to do at least 2 shows a week. While this is going on, we're going to do 2 shows a week. I think we're doing what? We're going to drop the next one on Tuesday? We're going to drop it on Tuesday?
Yeah.
We're going to we have a show on Tuesday. It's an interview show. And hopefully we'll get back on track where we can do 4 shows a week. So right now we cut our workload in half. Are we coming? I don't think we're coming on Sunday, are we?
I mean, it's up to you.
Let me see what I can do because Sunday I will try to be here Sunday.
I mean, if you have the stories for it, I think.
I do, but I need to go over them because I was busy all week. These are the pregame stories that I use for Friday. And I do typically 1 or 2 on Friday. And I didn't bring my sheet. I hate when you move your hand like that because then I think you're going to lift it up and you don't have it. You just lift up like some gum or whatever that is.
I was just going to magically pull it out.
You're like, I have it right here. He starts stealing it so he can do that. Just becomes redundant like SpongeBob's ripped hands.
Become reliable, it sounds like.
No, it sounds like you'd be doing it to try to get favor. So, see, I'm more better than Anthony. I'm going to tell you right now, we have to do this. I like Halloween. I do, but I'm not like a huge fan of it just because of like today I saw something that was kind of sickening. They had this huge block party going on, big Halloween party. Everybody had their kids and their family, whatever. But Christmas time comes and not a peep, nothing. Nobody even in our neighborhood even puts up lights.
Yeah.
Like hardly at all. I'm not joking. It's pitch black.
Well, yeah, like at the beginning of October, there were already a bunch of houses that had like
Halloween
decorations, and then but like all throughout December, there's just like nothing.
Nothing.
Those people won't even put their porch lights on. It's so weird.
I mean, it's crazy because like literally the only holly joy or Christmas joy I felt was when we magically got a candle. When all of our lights went out.
Candle on our step.
That was the only time I was like, oh.
Figured out who that was.
No,
that was in January.
Yeah, it wasn't even Christmas.
That was weird too because they just left like some esoteric little card with like a cartoon dude with a Scotland flag. Like he was wearing a Scotland flag digging a ditch, and then there was another like Mexican cartoon dude wearing a Mexican flag digging a ditch. I don't know what it was. It was like some church group or something, but probably some weird, I don't know,
I
like
didn't see that. I just saw a note.
patchwork Christianity, like some cult or something. I don't know.
I
You
saw
didn't see that card they left?
I saw a
That's
note that
weird,
said
dude.
that was like from a friendly neighbor or whatever.
Yeah, no, like the card said like from our friends, but if you turned it over, it was that weird picture and it had like these like three dots like that, like the Predator laser.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. Uh,
No, but it's a weird neighborhood.
Another thing though, Barton said this comment earlier. He said he said he hadn't gotten any new subs on his channel in like a whole week.
That's
Now-
been the case for us too.
Yeah. So there's 477 of y'all watching live, and then if you're watching this after it's been done and processed, I don't know. There's gonna be even more of y'all. Do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to Inhumanoids with Barton Nunley. Barton's an OG in this game. I mean, he's been in this for over a decade. He's been researching these things practically his whole life. He's written a bunch of books. I mean, it doesn't get more legit than Barton Nunley, and everyone knows that.
Also, he's just
So-
such a great guy, personable as heck,
Yeah.
and he's just a wealth of knowledge on materials outside the paranormal as well.
Yeah, so I
Right.
better hear Barton report that he got at least 478 subs, like tomorrow, okay? Otherwise, no more PRT. We're gonna quit for real over that.
Well, I don't think I can do that. I don't think we can quit right now. Even if I wanted to quit, we wanted to take a break. We were going to go down to the coast and hang out with our friends that have a place down there for a few days and just take it easy. And we decided to stay in here and do this.
Every time I leave, they pull me back in.
They want us to leave. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, then we probably shouldn't leave. We got to do what we got to do. Carlos says, Wolf, what workout do you do for your legs? Well, Anthony could probably answer that. I start off with squats. Go ahead and tell him. Do you know what my workout is? Because you do yours, I do mine. But I think you see me.
I mean, like, Wolf will mainly stick to like the leg presses. There's like the 45-degree leg press, and then at our gym there's a 90-degree vertical leg press that really blasts your quads and your hamstrings and glutes. I mean, it just lights everything up. And then there's a hack squat machine, which it's like kind of at a 45-degree angle too, but you're actually like squatting, and it takes some of the pressure off your knees and concentrates it on your quads. So that's a really good machine. I don't think you really do a whole lot for your hamstrings.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
They're already huge. My calves too. Like I do calves, but my calves are already like bowling balls, and I don't.
Yeah, I got to hit everything like all the way around.
I do the
legs are
stuff
skinny.
that's overall massive. Like I'll do individual areas and go a little more specific when it's upper body. Legs, not so much. I don't do because I have a massive chest. And if anybody has seen me, I've posted video after video. I did 495, 3 sets of 3 with 495 pounds on an incline closed grip. Now, if anybody knows, tell them an incline closed grip is not easy. It's probably the hardest thing you'll do.
Yeah.
And I do it. Thank you, Cat
thank you,
Hunter. I
Kate.
know
Wow.
you're.
So
Folks,
very
pray for
generous.
her. She's been ill. I hope you get better, Cat. I know you've been struggling to try to get better. And Melba Ketchum made a post today. Thank God. So everybody pray for her too. There's a lot of people that need your prayers. Just pray for the people that need your prayers. And Jimmy Blanton too. He's been going through it. These people have been. Everybody that's suffering and going through all this crap, I'm sorry that you're suffering, and I'm sorry if it's connected to me because of your association with watching my show. It's a shame that we can't watch a show without people attacking us. But here's a story I'm going to throw out there. I got about 20 minutes here. This one was given to me, and I talked about this one. Actually, I think I told Samantha and Tyler when we talked about this one over at the. And this woman had said that there was, just to bring you up to speed, that her son liked to play video games. And when he died, I was thinking about that last night when I was playing. It was just, nothing happened. I mean, it was weird. And I was sitting there thinking about it. And she had said that one day she believed that her son had communicated to her because his computer came on. They they left his room the way it was for several months. There was no activity, whatever.
Yeah.
And she went in there because she heard his game on, and it was a game that he liked to play, and it was on like it wasn't the computer, it was a video game, whatever. And she went and she was like, it was the game that he played, and he was playing it, and the message on there was "Hi, Mom." So yeah, very weird. People are like, "Oh, it was a coincidence. There was a chat going, and somebody said hi, Mom." What are the odds that it happened when she went in there? That it happened, and so I went over. I messaged her. She gave me words of encouragement over what's happening with all this stuff, whatever. And no, she's not an AI created story. These are real people. And so she sent me a message, and she says, since that time we talked, she's like, I heard, because I did talk about it, I believe, on the show, because she said that I heard you talking about it, or that you had mentioned it. So, and she could have been talking about my previous chat. We had a chat or whatever going, and I said something there were several people in there. But I think I told it on the show. I retell so many stories, and I tell so many encounters, and whatever. Bring so many people on the show, you kind of just forget or lose track, and then it reminds you, Well, one of the things that she said, that there was further contact with him. She saw a full-bodied well, first let me get into this. First thing that happened, it was like a couple months went by, the TV came on in the living room. And it went it began to move on it. The channels flipped on its own, and it went to a baseball game. Now, I asked her about that, and she said, yeah, he's a big Cubs fan, whatever. Get this. It really did. I felt the blood just drain. I was like, whoa, what, wet? The reason I thought that was interesting is because when I was living in my house down in South Austin, the Cubs were one of the teams that the TV would come on, and it would just go to the Cubs. And I'm sitting there going and I told you guys, I'm sure Scorpion Squid D, Willie told you. But it would come on, and it would just go to the Cubs. Scorp's in the chat right now. He knows that's the truth. And I'd be sitting there doing work on my computer, and then the TV would just come on, and then the sound would go way up real fast. Middle of the summer, Cubs game comes on. Spring, summer, whatever. At that time, they weren't any good. They were never playing in the fall, but it was just it was telling, It was just, and I thought there's a ghost here. Yeah, there's a Cubs fan or something. So anyway, she said that they were Cubs fans. They didn't live in that area anymore, but they were still Cubs fans, and so sometimes the game would come on.
Haunted by the ghost of Harry Carey.
Yeah, and so. Whenever the Cubs game came on, and I told her, I said, do you think that was him? She said, absolutely, I think it was him. His father thinks it was him. His brother thinks it was him. What was really sad was one day she heard somebody say Mom, as she was walking by his bedroom. She stopped. She opened the door, and sitting on the bed was him. Like a human, there wasn't anything mystical looking. He didn't look shiny. He didn't look like he was.
He just looked like a person.
Yeah, he looked like a person. She couldn't see through him. It was just like a full-bodied apparition of a person just sitting there on the bed. And she tried talking to him, and he just kind of waved, and then that was it. He just was gone. He didn't sparkle away, or it was just whoo, he was just gone. He was there and he was gone. And she said she went over there to the bed because she wanted to give him a hug, and it was a very just somber moment for her, I guess. She didn't really know how to react. It's hard to listen when somebody tells you that kind of stuff. You're just it kind of puts things in perspective for yourself. You're you think you have the issues, and this person's over here seeing her son. But anyway, I thought that was an update, and I could give you that for the story. The other thing, too, is his neighbor that grew up down the road from him. He goes back to stay the night at his house because he's a grown-up now. And they were friends. They grew up. They went to high school together. And he hears a knock on the back door. And he said it was very distinct. He's like, whenever he'd knock, it was like a 3-tap on the glass. And whenever he was downstairs, he would see him like in the kitchen. Hey, what's up? And then he wouldn't wait. He would just, he's like, we were best friends and we grew up together. We were kids. He's like 3 taps and he just opens the door and walks in. And he's like, for a split second there, I almost forgot that my friend was gone, you know. And he hears the 3 knocks and then the door opens. It just opens up. So that was weird. He said that just happened like a couple of weeks ago. They said it was kind of chilly that night and some leaves blew in and his mom comes downstairs and she's like, you know, like, hey, what'd you do? Why is the door open? What do you, he's like, so he turned around, he's like, Mom, you're not gonna believe what just happened. And then she's like, well, there have been a few things that have happened. She's seen him too. She saw him like walking up the stairs and she was like, I thought I saw him going up the stairs. This is his best friend's house. So yeah, weird stuff, man. People see people, and of course, people try to say, "Oh, they're demons trying to fool you." There's all kinds of ways to fool people. I mean, I don't think this is a demon trying to fool people. That's my opinion. People can believe what they want. It's done nothing bad to anybody. Thank you for that donation, Liberty. That's a very generous donation. Appreciate it.
wow.
We need
Thank
to
you very
get
much.
these high rollers in here, like Swamp Man, because he throws down $20.
Yeah.
But if you really make him mad, he might give you 100 if your enemy, if he's, you don't care.
Ooh.
Take out a loan for
Yeah.
$100.
Laying down some
Yeah.
generational wealth there, huh?
He'll go to the finance place and, you know,
Businessman.
yeah, he's a businessman. Voodoo is my business and business is good. So here's what I'm going to tell you, folks. And that's not me. I'm being sarcastic. I don't do 2 religions. I have enough time with one. That should occupy your time. There shouldn't be 2 religions. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't worry about these people, okay? Don't worry about them. It's not going to go on forever. When people start asking everybody and their dog to go spy and they need favors, what do you think they're at? What do you think they're at? When I got supporters like that, I got the numbers. I've said it before. I'll say it again. My numbers are real. Their numbers are not. Their numbers are fake. Social Blade. Go to Social Blade. You know. You don't need to be told again. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to teach you like children, but just reminder. Go look up the numbers. There's and over the last week, I had a couple other people reach out to me. I'm not going to mention their names yet. But they didn't like it. They didn't like it. They got upset. And I asked this one guy. I want to say his name so bad. But I said, look. I said, why are you so upset? Why you got to be starting things and getting stuff going and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? What are you talking about? Got very upset. What happened? Somebody make you laugh?
I was just remembering that old toothless oyster mouth said earlier, like, oh, I went to the Social Blade and my channel and his channel and everyone else's channel, we all had to be minus. So if I'm doing something wrong, they're doing it wrong. No, that's not how it works, stupid. You have to look at the statistics. If you scroll down, there are numbers with graphs. There is data.
Well, he's not going to want that.
And if you use your brain, you can analyze that data and know what adds up and what doesn't. Stupid. You don't look at the letter and think, oh, well, that's it right there. We're all the same.
You have addition and all this. This is too complicated.
If you have the most
Common
basic,
Core math,
most rudimentary, most fundamental understanding of statistical analysis, then you can, I don't know how to.
He has to figure out how to. He has to figure out how to read.
How
first.
stupid is that?
That's the first step before you figure out numbers.
You go to a website whose sole purpose is statistics, and you don't look at the numbers. You look at the letter, and you want to act like you're smart, dude. Shut up, please, and brush your teeth, bro. Brush your tooth. Crap, man. It's just I can't stomach the stupidity.
That's one thing we can't stomach.
Yeah, the thing is, too, folks, you have to remember something. When someone is a liar, they think everybody lies. When somebody is a violent person, they think everybody's violent. A thief thinks everybody steals. A murderer thinks everybody was willing to kill. It's just the way it is. So they think everybody is like them. They think everybody, they probably, because I know through some of his sock accounts, his fake accounts, he was accusing me of being a fake and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because we knew he was. And so you're like, yeah, dude, I've been suspecting it for a while with him. Told me you were a cop. Told me a whole story, a whole big old thing. I mean, these people, they've all sat on the phone and told me ridiculous tall tales, which I don't believe. But I was like, oh, well, just figured, they get wound up. Who knows? But it gave me, what do you call it? Like a red flag. When it all came out, it wasn't a big shock. When I went to Social Blade and I looked up several prominent people, oh, man. One person really broke my heart. Now I'm not even going to say his name. I just thought better. I thought more. I mean, I don't know. And then when Doofus talks about doing something wrong, like Anthony said, he's taking a piece of information. He's not giving you the whole thing because the whole thing tells the tale of the tape. You don't get like 1,000 subs one day. And then, it's not how it works, dude. One guy, I'm not going to say his name, ended up with, I don't want to talk about him because then it just going to open up another front. Put it this way, there's a lot of people doing some fakery, all right? Some hoaxings going on, big time. Two of the biggest dogs, and I'd say probably 3 big dog man people. Start paying attention to who you're watching and listening to, okay? Just giving you the straight up facts. Holly M just said facts. And Madeline chat. Hey, Maddie. How you and Holly doing? Miguel, how you doing, brother? Gwen, Appalachian, Jimmy. That's Jimmy. Brett, good to see you. Look, Ace, good to see you too, man. Everybody. The T Cutler, good to see you. Dave Howe, Aussie Sue, Lolo, War Criminal. Real people. Those are real people, folks. Real people. Always in the chat. Jackie Hall, JoJo, Gwen Hunt, Jake. The thing is, Liberty, these are real people. I have real numbers. If they do a live stream, I heard one guy talking the other day. Like I said, I don't want to stir the pot too much because I don't want everybody coming down on me because they're mad because I said something about Social Blade. Why would you not want to know it exists? Why, if I tell people that it's a real thing, why is that a problem? Why? And I asked this person that went off on me. I said, "Why are you so upset?" He says, "You want to go after people and do what you do it to your own whatever. Take your own time. Do it in private." I said, "I'm not doing it in private. What do you have to hide? Are you making AI generated stories? Then no, then don't worry about it." I said, "Are you making fake numbers? No, then don't worry about it. Why are you so up in arms?" I encourage everybody to go and look into me. Go and look into me. Turn over every rock. You're not going to find anything. I'm not that kind of person. I've lived my life 20-something years now trying to be the best person I could be every day, trying to be better than the day before. It's 18 years now, I would say. I've washed myself of that past, But my rap sheet doesn't look like their rap sheets. That's all I can say. Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh. Oh, and I saw what I saw. You can't unsee it. I wouldn't be friends with him at gunpoint. I mean, if you took something and pointed it at me, I would say, my time is up. I've had a good run. It's been nice, my 40-some-odd years of living, and it's time to go. I don't care. I won't be friends with you. I won't make peace with you. You can pray for me. I'll pray for you at a distance. You stay in your state. I stay in mine. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to be in the same county. I don't even want to be in the same state with them. I'll tell you right now, in case they're inglorious stench gets on you. So that's my thing. I'm just, you say what they want. Here's a story I got. I'm going to tell you this one real quick. We got just a few minutes here. You know what? Maybe we should just bring him on, then I can throw that one in the mix. I'll throw it in the mix with him. Let's get it going.
Yeah,
Let's get him called up here before I get tempted to say something I don't want to say. And then I'll get chewed out again. Everybody gets to get chewed out sometimes, right?
Even the pig was yelling at you.
Pig was like going off on me, He was angry. I don't think he knows what side he's on. He'd probably go on their side of the
Truffle's really haughty lately, so
Yeah,
I think
he's been chatting with them. I think they offered him apples.
I think they recognize their kind.
Don't insult my pig like that. He's a good boy. Roscoe Pico Train. He's a good boy. Can you hear it? Is it the sound up good?
Josh,
Robert,
how you doing, man? How you doing?
what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too much, man. I'm doing great.
So Robert Kryder, folks, this is Robert Kryder, because everybody's going to come in the chat and be like, "Who's the guest? Who's the guest?" And Robert Kryder. Now, Robert, you've been a listener of the show for a while, right?
Yeah, on and off. I've caught it when I can. I'm always running around doing something. So.
Oh yeah, you're kind of the Indiana Jones. You and Adam Davies, man, you're always out in the field doing stuff, real, true, boots on the ground stuff. So, man, what do you want to talk about? Robert and I are going to have to record together because he's got so much information, and there's so much to talk about, and so we can just bounce around, we can do whatever, and then we can always redo it for the podcast. A lot of the people on the podcast don't even watch the live stream, and vice versa. So, it's two different ball games.
We can go in any direction that you choose, So you lead me and I'll follow.
Well, let's start with this. You made a post, and I like your post on there. It was very thought-provoking. You were in a group, right? And you made a post about the rake. And that post, it got like, what was it, 200 or 300 comments by the time it was done? It was like everybody had something to say about it. And I got in there and I was like, yeah, I like those posts because it makes people think, and I'm in all these different groups, and I get stories out of them, and I'll sit there and I'll talk to people, a couple hours a day. You got to do some research. You got to go in there and find people that are trying to tell their story, and yours was no exception. It was that post sparked a lot of people, got a couple stories out of it. I was going to tell you, it was we did a show, and it was Rake versus Chupacabra. That's why I'm wearing my Chupacabra shirt today. And it was we were doing the show, but I think it was a storm or something knocked the show out. And so
I was actually watching that when that happened. So
yeah. So Robert and I have known each other for a long time, but we just haven't worked together. And I was like talking to BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, great guy. He's a really mutual friend of ours, and he was telling me about you. And I said, "Oh man, I'm already there. I've already got him on the show, going to come on the show." But then all this stuff popped off, and we didn't know if we were going to do a show or whatever. And then, of course, when you messaged me back, it was like, well, hey, I'm not going to do one this week. But that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But now here you are. So I want to go to the Rake versus Chupacabra. I wanted to talk about that just a little bit. You have so much you've done. Like it's such a huge body of work. So I can't even. Like you were telling me stuff yesterday, and it was you were all over the place. But it was so. Interesting. Like you've lived, my friend. You've definitely lived. So let's start with that. Your take on the Rake and what prompted you to post that in that group, and then it started that whole firestorm that we were looking at there.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things that enters my mind. Every time I've ever seen the video of them and stuff, and I mean, the more coherent stuff, like some of the ones that came out of Spain and these that didn't look like any hoax or anything, but there they were, and there was a certain consistency to many aspects of them, right? So when I saw that post come up or whatever, or when I saw the information coming around a couple of days earlier, I just had that thought. So I threw it out there, like, how come nobody specifically tried to actually go after one of these? Everyone that I've ever seen on a video that I would, somewhat trust, were all surprise encounters. And they didn't look staged, the 2 or 3 that really, really got to me. And then there was kind of a comparison with another creature that I saw a couple of videos out of South America, and there was a certain consistency, and you know, there's a niche that could be filled by a creature like that in the natural world. So so why not? You know, so I threw it out there because and I used the term rake, which you know on the post became quite controversial, because of course that comes from a fictional basis, and it doesn't come from ancient lore and things like that. But what it is it's a popular term that kind of culminates everything together in one basket. So when you say it, people already know what you're talking about over a vast demographic. If I was to use any of the specialized terms or the historical terms, what I'd be explaining it every single time you use the term, because no one's really aware of, and not many people are aware of those terms that relate to that type of a creature throughout history. So the rake is a good generic one to use, whether we adopt it or not. You know, we adopt terms all the time, so that's a different.
Yeah, like for instance, dogman and werewolf. You know, like people who might not understand what dogmen are, they would be able to understand it from the term werewolf, and they'll be okay. I have an understanding of what you're talking about. So it just makes
at
it
least get
easier.
an
It's not
instant-
like
yeah,
the creature's real just because the name came from somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a
Right, right.
connotation.
Yeah.
but yeah. So when I did that, I just and also that's kind of something that we would go after, or I'm not going to say go after, like, you know, try to chase one down, trap it, or anything like that. I just mean that we would go try to get evidence of something like that, and go try to encounter it in its process of doing whatever the heck it does, be it sinister or not, right? I mean, most creatures aren't inherently sinister unless they've got, you know, some type of spiritual negative aspect to them. And maybe that thing does, but I'm not just going to claim it does all right off the bat. For all I know, it's just a subterranean version of a hominid or hominin. I mean, I never saw one up walking technically, so I don't know.
Right.
But that could be just something like that in the natural world, that there's no reason we would have encountered it even at this point. Because we still haven't discovered all the species on the planet by far, and some say we lose them faster than we discover them, if you count all those small steps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if I saw one of these things, me personally, I'm assuming that it's got malevolent, malicious intent towards me. But like I think it's interesting how you view it, to where it seems like you're reserving judgment, because it to not reserve judgment would kind of imply that this creature has any sort of interest in humanity or in human beings at all, and that might not be the case. It may just be doing what it does, and there's no real intention behind that. That's just how it is, like kind of like how if a wild animal, like a Bengal tiger, if it mauls a human being, it doesn't make it evil. That's just what it does. It's just what it does. It's a predator.
Right. And I believe that any animal that's a kind of a higher thinker, even what I believe most of the mammals, I believe, are sentient, I'm sure. So I think that you can develop a psychosis that can become described as an inherent type of evil, and do things that are bad. I mean, there's been rogue animals of all types that have done some pretty horrible stuff. Not kill to consume, just kill out of
Or were those
vengeance.
two lions in Africa?
Yeah,
what were their names?
Savo. Yeah,
the lions of Savo.
Yeah, it's also Gustav the crocodile.
And Gustav, he's another example, but he's not a mammal; he's a reptilian.
Yeah.
Right, and we've seen elephants in circuses just go bananas and just run through the streets murdering people, because of a childhood conflict or drama that was inherent. So anything that has any higher thought capability is likely, and I say this all the time, more likely to have processes in the mind that get screwed up. So whether it be indiscipline or aggression or whatever it might be. And I expect to encounter that most places in the natural world. There's going to be flukes. Who knows,
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say, Robert, is we were having a talk. Was it yesterday or the day before? We had a talk, you and I. And we talked for an hour or two. But and we went over a case, and it was about the woman in Albuquerque. She lived in Santa Fe. Her brother had moved to Albuquerque and became homeless. And I know you remember this story. We were talking about it, and
Yeah.
she started dreaming that some werewolf, as she called it, a demonic werewolf type creature. Now, I actually talked to her a little bit after we talked. I messaged her and said, hey, can you give me a little more of a description? The way that she described the creature was a giant black dog that she just said it looked like a beast. And she kept telling me that. And I said, okay, but give me more. A black dog. She said it would stand up on its hind legs. And she said that it stalked her brother and pulled him into a cave. Now, it was funny. It's not funny as in haha, but odd, interesting, funny. That when he went missing, like they found like his backpack or something. They never found him. Somebody that they thought other homeless people had done it to him. And you knew the exact area. You were like, if he lived in this certain area, that's very possible. And now, let me ask you this. Is there a cave system right there by where you're talking about?
So that uplift in particular is it's a metamorphic type uplift that came from a massive caldera. But as a matter of fact, the caldera, it's like 14 miles across, Valles Caldera, and that created the Sandia Range. And the uplift itself, the vertical face is about what is it? Well, it goes from 4,500 to 65, so about 5,500 feet. So 5,500 foot of vertical, extremely jagged granite. And then it's capped by a sandstone cap, and it goes up to about 10,700, I think, something like that elevation, very abruptly. And in that are regions no one's, if ever, stepped since Native American times, maybe even for 1,000 years. Nobody's been in a lot of the regions in it because you'd have to get airdropped or rope in or whatever. I mean, over a vast area of this. And in that type of granite, when it comes up like that, it's extrusive. Is full of holes, cracks, faults. So there's just a myriad array of all types of cave and fault systems associated with that uplift. And so, and there's a lot of really sketchy history about it. I think, we were discussing it, and I told you that one of the particular areas that we work, one trail in particular, 30 people in a year have gone vanished. And one of our team, who was USFS management at the time, verified 37 in 3 years off with just one trail. And then, but I know in the area where he probably went missing, in the last 15 years or so, there's been kind of more of an influx of homeless into the Northeast Heights area. And at the bottom of one of those trails is where we actually did, and up into the system where it gets rugged as well, is where we did the work for Oxford University. And those subjects there are somewhat aggressive. And we've, from personal experience, them throwing large enough rocks to really hurt you, football-sized lobbing football-sized rocks up over the cliffs up above us down to where we are. And that's not good. And then we've also, I've had a dog that was taken there, not me, one of my people that report to us and that we went and worked with a little bit, tried to help out, had a black lab grabbed right in front of him off the trail, and all he saw was an arm, and the arm was every bit of 5 foot. He didn't see anything else, and its hand was big enough to grab the lab with one hand, just pull it off the trail. Oh. And then so those individuals up there are pretty bad. Now, also a woman was taken to the emergency room, and I never got an update on her, but she was hit with a basketball-sized rock in the side of the head, and in the parking lot. In the forest parking lot down below the mountain there, at the trailhead of that same area. So the interaction with people has not been good. And then when we did our research and we got featured on the news, the Forest Service closed that area, and they said it was to prevent potential adverse interaction between humans and rare and sensitive species. And that's why they did for the closure, but they didn't specify the species. And then you have to look at the potential for adverse interaction. It wasn't for the protection of a species or to get the impact of a human on the species. It was adverse interaction. And so we can only imagine it was a direct result of our work there. So, and then it was telling because they closed a certain region from between two major canyons all the way up to the 10,000 foot mark from down below. And in a sense, they may have just inadvertently been marking or relating to us a known territorial boundary of this group, or at least where their activity is. Because they find people, a couple people a year, they get toted off and they find them or they don't find them, but they get on the news because they're from popular campgrounds and things, and people report them. And then they'll find them, 5 to 7 miles away or whatever with no shoes on in really rugged terrain where they have to get rappelling gear and climbing gear to go recover them. So whatever that portion is, anyway. But I don't know, what we've been working with is researching Bigfoot activity and aggressive Bigfoot behavior. But the New Mexico, all the natives, even in that area with that range, all know about different types of creatures that come out of the ground that are more likened to what we're talking about. So when we talk about these type of numbers disappearing in real specific areas on that range, we don't know what's doing all that. We do know there's some correlating evidence to say that there are some really aggressive Bigfoots doing bad things, but we don't really know what's getting that many people without any sign left at all. You know what I mean?
And these, like when you were talking about the rake earlier, one of the things I noticed, and we just here working in Austin, we deal with homeless people all the time. And I know I myself, Anthony and Tony have all each individually been given stories of very weird stuff from homeless people. I think, Tony, you got one recently. Was it that guy that told you the story about the stairs and all that?
Yeah.
Very weird. I mean, and so we've had homeless people come up to me and Anthony one time. We were working a site, and it was kind of funny. We were kicking him off, but he had a shirt. What was it? A shirt from what's the show? With Mulder and Scully. I can't remember on my mind.
X-Files?
X-Files. He had an X-Files shirt on and said, "I believe." And I said, "Do you believe?" And I gave him my card. Well, the next night he was coming through there, and he always pulls a wagon. I mean, this was the site we had last year. It was over at Riata, I think it was. And he saw us sitting there, and he came up and he said, "Hey, man, I'm not trespassing. I just want to tell you, I got your card." He goes, I thought about it. I watched one of your shows. And this is a homeless guy, but he's got a phone. He's got everything you need. He carries his stuff in a little wagon. And he's not a bad guy. He just was trespassing, and I had to tell him you can't be on the property, whatever. And he's still a human being. I'm not going to be ugly to him or anything. And I was nice to him. I gave him my card. And he stopped, and he was talking to us. And, of course, he tells us this wild story about this rake-type creature that crawled out of a tree and came down into his encampment and chased him and his friends in all directions. And it was just low-crawling like a spider. Wow. And it was weird. He could see, but he told us it didn't have a nose. And he said that it had the eyes were like up and down or something. And then there was a guy that waited on us. What is it, at Plowman's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And what'd he say? Tell the description of that thing.
Well, he described seeing this thing come out of the wood line back home where he was from. And he said that it looked like this pale humanoid that was crawling around, but it had like 6 limbs.
Mm-hmm.
And
4 arms.
Yeah, like 4 arms and then its legs. And then I showed him a picture of the thumbnail we have on one of our podcast episodes called The Pale Crawler. And he said, yeah, it looked just like that, except it had 4 arms and 2 legs.
Yeah.
It's just so bizarre. Wow. It's nasty.
And you get weird reports, man. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, well, anything that, if it is subterranean, and I mean, look at it, it doesn't seem to have much for pigmentation or anything to the skin. It's usually out at night, nocturnal. The genetic changes that can come just from not being exposed to certain forms of light and radiation, like natural sunlight, could really do some pretty off the wall stuff. And it may cause a reason to have basically more genetic mutations because people have been born that way. And, and of course, arms in really weird places. But science has declared there's like 7 sections to a living organism, and each one of those sections you can flip on limbs, or you could flip on whatever. So I wonder if they have maybe a propensity to have more genetic mutation than something else because of the reasons of what they are.
And what do you think they are? I mean, do you like your post you made? They're kind of set off a chain reaction, but you didn't like go into a big old explanation unless I got off early because of all the stuff that was being said. I didn't think you did.
I didn't. And I kind of leave that up for the people, and so I didn't really throw it out there for the debate more than I did to bring up the idea. Okay, why hasn't anybody gone after him? Why hasn't anybody sought physical evidence or goes to the encounter locations and tries? And for some reason, there seems to be an odd prejudice that gets tossed out even when a lot of the Bigfooters and people into Dogman and the paranormal, when they hear about that thing, they instantly scoff. And that's odd to me, because that is what you'd expect from a skeptic that doesn't believe that all these things potentially could exist. So why couldn't this potentially exist? When I certainly see a place, an actual niche that this could fill in the natural world. And I don't see why not. Any animal can, we see all types of animal forms that have developed to be nocturnal or live, at least semi-subterranean, maybe not 100% of the time. They go out to procure food, but generally water's not generally an issue in subterranean systems. And then as well, part of the look, part of the demeanor, part of the whole thing could be affected as well by ore bodies, mineral bodies, acids, alkalis, things like that are in water that are subterranean, that they would be evolved with. I mean, we don't know how these things change biologic forms on the long run. And it certainly could even be intelligent and still be horrific to deal with, like horrific. If it's sensibilities, we tend to anthropomorphize just about everything we look at. And to think that it would have to be A, demonic, or B, some type of just driven by instinct killing thing, those don't have to be the case for an animal to be absolutely horrific to deal with. It's like some species of snakes are so aggressive that you can't deal with them without a lot of expertise, because they just won't give you a break. Like a Mojave rattlesnake versus a blacktail, you can swim next to a blacktail, you can sit next to one, do whatever. They won't do anything unless you push them around. And then a Mojave, it won't even rattle. It'll just bite you, and it'll just do it right off the bat, and it'll relentlessly chase you, biting you if it can. So we think about that, and then think about that diversity with the hominid or hominin type creature evolved to that thing, and what type of demeanor would it need? What would it turn out? We can only guess at that. And to think that it wouldn't end up a quad crawling, at least most of the time, spindly little crazy thing that just eats your chickens and would take people or whatever, I see that as a direct possibility. So why would people scoff at this thing?
Well, and that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up. See, because there seems to be possibly two different things, maybe even more, because
right,
they don't all look. First of all, they don't all look the same. We figured that out early on. The reports, like we got reports of one of them in an apartment complex. I don't remember the city it was in. I don't have the notes in front of me for that, but I just remember like it was like it had literally put its limbs up against like two cars, like in between two cars, and it was suspended like that. And somebody walked out and was like, "Oh my gosh," And there was another person that was watching from their balcony. It was an apartment complex, and they told us about it. Very weird. We had a person that used to work for us that gave us a story of this creature that I think, wasn't it? That one was in California too, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was his wife. She was from California. He was from Missouri, but it was crazy that the creature was black, though it wasn't white, but it had all the same characteristics of that thing. And Tony, you probably remember, he worked at Menlo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he told us that story about his wife was a tattoo artist, or whatever, but she was like, I saw this creature, And then we got some reports, people camping, different places, but then that one was interesting because in that same redwood forest, we got like multiple reports of these things, like in different color, different shapes. Somebody said that there was one that was crawling around. It was white on a tree. I read that one earlier, and then I haven't gotten to flesh it out or whatever, or talk to the person, so take it with a grain of salt. But they said it had like a green ridge that had kind of showed up on its back and then disappeared. And then they could see like it go back to being white, The only thing I could think of is like some sort of octopus, how they change or whatever. And I thought that
chromatophores.
Yes, and I thought that is so weird, And I was thinking like when you see this thing morph like that, and then I've heard of them here in Central Texas, right here in Central Texas, of them a friend of mine, he went hunting out of my cousin's land. And it turned its head around backwards and crawled down the tree backwards. And it was like, whoa. they do some things that, and their bodies can move and morph in ways that are just so bizarre. And I have a story, and I've told this one on the show. It was a guy I used to work with. He was from Puerto Rico, and his grandfather saw this, what he thought was a wolf, with its tongue sticking into the pen, and it was stuck to a chicken. The chicken was like there, and its tongue was like a tube. And he's like, I've never seen a wolf like that. Like, it was a wolf-like creature. So when he shot it, because it wouldn't stop doing what it was doing, it like got flat down, squished, and low crawled away. And as it crawled away, it began to turn like that white, pale, whatever, and all the fur and everything was gone. Almost like it was pretending to be something else. To me, the way that thing sounded was like the chupacabra, but it was like, I don't know where the rake begins and the chupacabra ends, and I don't, you know,
No,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that they're far separated, and there's probably, like you said, a couple in between.
Yeah, so
I
the
really do.
chupacabra, you got like these dogs that they're calling blue dogs, and I know you know what those are. Everybody's seen those now. Hell,
Yeah,
Ken Garrett
the,
was telling me
the American chupacabra.
Yeah, the American chupacabra. But here in Texas, we got both. We got the dog one, then we got this one that looks more like a spindly. And there's been several reports out west of San Antonio. And I thought I'd seen one. I thought it was a big deal. Not the little monster one, the dog one. And then Ken Garrett was like, yeah, I saw one coming back from Abilene. I was, it's like, okay, well, burst my bubble then. I guess I haven't really seen, if you want to call the dog man a cryptid, I guess I saw that. But I don't really think those are purely flesh and blood. There's too many reports of weird things going on with those. But you get weird things going on with all these creatures. Like, and the things that they can do, it defies the laws of physics. I don't know what's going on with that. I can't explain it. I know this. I know that the chupacabra, some people have reported sort of a pale, humanoidal little creature, but it has the spines on its back. Now, here's an interesting one. This person out of Crockett, Texas, it was, I guess, back in the 90s. They said they were, when they were living there, they had given a report, and that they saw one of these things, and it went into their house, and then the kids chased it out. And I said, the kids chased it out? And she was like, yeah, when we were living there. She's like, the kids were little. They were like 8 and 11 years old. And I was like, they're her sons. I said, they chased it out with a broom. I was like, how does that even possible? Things, usually they're aggressive, they're mean. She's like, no, it was a small little thing. She said that over time, though, they would see this thing again and again, and it would be bigger and bigger and bigger, until it was about 4 foot tall, and it was like, it's sitting down, but its legs look like they're all folded up under its body, and it turned grayish green, like over time, like it started out like a pale, crawling humanoidal thing, and it turned into a chupacabra. She's like, it's the same creature, I'm telling you. And so I don't know what that is, but she called it a chupacabra. I wondered about that because, now, I did get a report out of Brownwood, Texas. It was right outside of Brownwood, and it was from a friend of mine that used to help me work on the show, my first co-host. And he was telling me about a friend of his that had told him about a pale crawler rake. What they called it, the rake. And when they described it, they described it like to a T, what everybody says is, but it had spines, really small spines. So not all of them have that.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
like you
know
said,
what
there
that
could be
is.
different. There could be variations too. It's like a lot of species are extremely similar and completely different. And I mean, they can look almost identical, like a hyena and a canine or a wolf, but they're not. They're closer to a cat. But they fit that
Yeah.
niche, so that's what they develop into. So I think that there's a myriad array of all types of different creatures, and I'm not going to say combinations of creatures because with the natural diversity, you just don't even have to go there. And there may be as well, and they may be purposefully hybridized, or they may be creatures that self-hybridized over time, or even influences from other realms, places, whatever. But I think what we were discussing, at least what I wanted to really see action in, a little discussion to start, was, why isn't there a focus on some of these that we do have at least some video evidence? And what I like to do is I will take a lot of accounts, and then I'll look at the commonalities, and they'll generally start to self-organize. And then you'll see the commonalities between different ones, and it actually starts to filter out, because witnesses see and tell a lot of things regardless of what is there. They can do their best, and people recount it differently, and that's no fault of their own. But the details come out and come clean with enough comparative analysis and no bias. They'll self separate to some degree, and then you kind of get to see a core of what a thing is, in spite of witness deviation. So if you have 5 people and they all tell you the same thing, there will be a core and evident truth to it, and then each one might remember or perceive a part of that event or subject slightly different. But if you just concentrate on the commonalities, then eventually those commonalities put them into different brackets. And
let me ask you a
so,
question. And we were
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you're not done. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so in particular, what we were most interested in was the humanoid looking gray to grayish ash white colored, black or dark eyes, black lips, and mouth area, and very spindly form. That particular type is more what I was referencing than any of the variation in a sense, because we do have some pretty good information on those video wise and testimonial wise, globally, just like Bigfoot or a lot of these other things. So to make it where it's viable. So I kind of want to get that started, Go ahead.
Well, and now you have been a lot of places and you've seen a lot of things. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And we were touching, we were touching on a lot of different subjects yesterday. I think it was yesterday. One of the things I was going to tell you that you had said that I was very interested in, you were talking about some of the work. Well, okay, let's just, man, what do we say? How do I even bite into this sandwich? Let's just go with New Mexico, okay?
Okay.
And you were talking about it being the land of enchantment and how there was so much weirdness there. And you said something that Weatherly had said to me about the Central Texas area. Same thing Eric Palacio said. Both of them said the same thing, that they would put it up against anywhere, Uten Basin or the LBL.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about the areas of New Mexico where you're talking about, because I get a lot of weird stories out of that state, especially near Ruidoso with the reptilian. Like we have gotten now, I think, 3 giant lizard stories from there. How many?
Yeah. Oh,
3?
yeah. From there
At
all the
least
way
3.
up to the Four Corners. And the only
Oh,
thing
yeah,
about Four
it's-
Corners is those people just don't tell anybody's stories.
Yeah.
They're
It's
careful who they
insane.
talk to.
This bear man story we had going on down here. And then somebody reached out to me and they were like, hey, man, I saw this bear man looking creature. And it was near Taos, New Mexico. And then we had
Yeah.
this werewolf story we got out of, when it wasn't Tucumcari. What was that little place on the road? We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to tell Robert about that.
In New Mexico?
Yeah, it was like, it was
What was that?
what was the name of that? It's a small town that, if anybody can remember from a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we talked about. There was a person that was driving a truck, and it was a show. It was one of the shows we did for the Tuesday show, the Tuesday. And this guy he told us this horrific story about having a nightmare. Once again, it was a nightmare that somebody had been killed. And we after I was talking to you yesterday, and I showed Anthony that email, and I said, look, 2 people, 2 different parts of New Mexico, of course, but dreaming about something killing somebody. And I'm going to tell you this, because New Mexico has a lot of weird, like almost magic. I mean, I would say magic for real. I mean, there is a lot of magic there, but there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on there, and it's unexplainable. You can't explain
Real
it.
weird.
I had to pull over one time because I was driving a vehicle, and some people, and not my wife now, she's not that kind of person. She knows to put oil in a car, but this person was like, I hear this knocking, clanging noise, and I'm like, what is that? And so we're like outside of not Santa Fe. God, what is that town? The one that everybody talks about that's all mystical and stuff. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, we were right outside
Madrid?
of that. And no,
Or
no,
Taos?
no, not Taos.
Angel
Gosh,
Fire.
it'll
Taos.
come to me in a minute. So we were driving, and I pulled over on the side of the road. It was like about 11, and I wasn't that late, and nothing happened. Okay, let's be honest. This isn't a boring story, but I had to check. I was like, your oil is practically gone. I was like, this is about 30 minutes to the next town. I'm like, I don't care. This is driving because I'm not sitting here on the side of the road in New Mexico. And she was like, it's so peaceful out here. Yeah, it's peaceful. Sure.
Calm before the storm.
Exactly. New Mexico is called the land of enchantment for a reason. I had somebody tell me that a black cloud chased them through there. Just all kinds of weird stuff. And if I could remember, Hobbs, that's where it was. Hobbs, New Mexico.
Well, I think it's been a focal point, at least on this continent, probably worldwide, for some of the craziness going on. And it goes back as far as even the natives have histories as the focal point for all the weirdness. I know the valley we're in right now, and Apache elder told me that this whole valley was off limits throughout their history. And then archaeologically, you go out here and there's almost a complete absence of any native occupation stuff between now and about 8,000 years ago. And so 8,000 or 9,000 years ago, something occurred and this valley was abandoned. And it's 60 or 80 miles across either direction to, between the mesa lands that represents this valley structure. And, what we see in the petroglyphs, I just did a show on that and it's on our YouTube thing, but you could see why. And they call it the devil's burial ground. And its home is Medicine Rock, which is the home of the little people. Yep. And like they said that if you go to Medicine Rock, which is actually south of where we live, about 20 miles, or not even that, 12 miles, that's what it is. And that mesa, it's called Mesa Redondo. But that was known to them, the old ones, as Medicine Rock. I said that was the home of the little people. And if you went anywhere near it, you didn't come back. And they're not playing. They even, told me when the first Spaniard rode through here and they saw a metal man riding a giant dog. Three ladies saw him until he fell off his horse and he was dying in the sun, a heat stroke. And then they got some of the warriors of the tribe and went out there and figured out what he was and stuff. But I mean, that's how much they remember word to word of their history, and so there's no doubt. And then we've received information, and I got to even see a photograph once of an 18-inch tall skeleton in a little wooden box that was found about 25 miles as crow flies from where I am right now, and it was an adult skeleton, and it was just a skeleton. It doesn't look like a fossil. The whole thing was there, so I don't think it was ancient. And it was a cowboy found it, and they preserved it or whatever. And I don't know where that went, And then this area, and especially this is all just this particular area. That's kind of why we're here right now, because like I was telling you, it makes Skinwalker look like kindergarten playground. So that's where some of the first cattle mutilations happened in the 60s. And out here, they were having cows drop from high altitude. One of them was 4 miles from its pasture, wasn't even in where any other cows are. And it splattered like a ketchup sack on the ground from being dropped from high altitude and stuff like that. But these are all ranchers. They don't talk about that even to their neighbor. They deny it and shut up because they just want to do their thing and live their life and go on. And they see most of it as ridiculous. And plus, you don't want to really know all these things and have to be out there. So, and here the understanding is that if you're out with your headlights on, you're out way too late. So all this land, millions of acres of land, is completely abandoned. It's never been developed. There's no roads, no forest roads, nothing, because it's all private. So there's never been anybody on it. They ranch a lot of it. These big horse ranches are 60 and 70,000 acres. Some of them a lot bigger than that. And they run them with helicopter and with sometimes quads, but not much because they're so rugged, a lot of it. So it's either horseback or helicopter. That's how you work them. Then they'll have like one little 2-track road that they'll drive the property and then, whatever. But like on one of the ranches over here, it's 11 hours to get to the bunkhouse where all the hands stay on the ranch. Just one-way drive on dirt roads just to get into the ranch that deep. So what I'm trying to put across is this area has been and remains completely wild, basically. Whatever's out there could be out there and no one knows what it is. And so I think that's one reason that it's so high. I think it goes both ways. I think part of the reason that no one's here is because of all this stuff. And I think that one of the reasons all that stuff's here is because nobody's here. So, and we've got it all. I mean, UFO stories are absolutely off the charts. Like we have, Archuleta Mesa, which is the Dulce base. None of that's really a joke, but that's not the only site. There's another one that was listed in the Army Corps of Engineer maps in the 50s, and I can't really divulge exactly where it is, but it's eastern New Mexico, and it's hot spot all the way around it, and it's bad. You know, I know people that have been sunburned by craft at night that they were messing with, and then I got nuked and lost my hair for 2 years from a little chrome ball, and then you know, and it's not uncommon for those things to happen. So there's a good reason why, you know, nobody goes out there, you know, after dark. I know 2 other guys that were picked up and told they wanted to use those guys to go kill some other crap, and they wouldn't do it or whatever, and they put them out and dropped them off on the highway. I mean, these are long and in-depth stories that go behind these, and they're not joking. These aren't people that make things up. These are grown men who aren't proud of what happened. You know, it takes a lot to get anything out of them to tell you. So, you know, it's pretty off the wall. And then, you know, I've had reports when we're talking about, you know, other types of creatures right now. So, you know, I've had reports, well, we have pterodactyls here, or pterosaurs anyway. That's a known thing. They've been seen by all kinds of people. The ranchers don't like them. They just call them the big birds. And that's like they say, it's not the mountain lions getting their livestock. It's them
Yeah, they'll
big
come down and
birds.
swoop them down. Yeah, I've talked to them.
Yeah. And they've got a range between a couple of mesas that they occupy. And I've had reports from another guy hunting where he's found the egg clutches in the cliffs and as big as the ostrich eggs, but there's no ostrich eggs in the cliffs, you know, and to have these reports. And then we got to see a small pterosaur with Jason Kenzie and this Joe. I can't remember this guy's last name. They're going to kill me. And anyway, but so what we've got here, and then I had also 2 reports of something that looks like a big black hyena, but even bigger than that. And it wasn't a misrepresented or Bigfoot or misidentified Bigfoot or something like that. It was a different animal entirely, and it had a longer forelimbs than rear limbs. It was canine, or it appeared to be canine, but much broader and bigger, especially in the shoulder area and up here than any canine they'd ever seen. And the way it ran, they said it ran with its shoulders higher than its rear end, and that it was fast, and it went across the road. Now, both reports we had, when I really got to looking at the details and tried to figure out, okay, where could this fit? What could they be looking at? So something that came to mind was a Dinopithecus. You guys ever heard of a Dinopithecus?
Oh yeah, giant ancient baboon. Yeah.
Yeah, and a horrific looking thing. Nothing like, you know, even the African bamboos, you know, really off the wall creatures, you know, like your worst nightmare. It's besides like maybe rake or something. It's the last thing I'd want to run into. It's like there's nothing redeeming about their appearance, which is odd because we think that all the canines, the reports we hear, it's a pretty vicious looking creature, even when it's at rest in a sense. And so are they, you know, and they have, that's what fit the descriptions that we got, was something like that, which is, you know, a baboon that goes up to or something like that goes up to your shoulders, that looks like a dog, because it does. They have a face just like a big canine with huge
and they
fangs.
can stand up too. They stand up and
they can stand up. Yeah, and they're massive. They're like 7 feet when they stand up. And so I was like, wow, that's. Go ahead.
And like the only problem with that, and we've covered some cases in particular. There's one that I talked about. There's been 2 different ones. It was near Mason County, or it was in Mason County here in Texas. Those, and then there was one. I think we just got one. Not now. I don't know. We have we gone over the Johnson City one yet? No,
I don't think we have.
Okay, we got one recently, Johnson City, and when I was looking at it, I was actually showing Scorp the other day on the phone. We were driving, and we were in the truck, and I said, "Take a look at this." And Anthony was doing something, but I know you saw it, Anthony. But anyway, I know that was. I mean, I don't know 100% no, but that sounds like a Gigantopithecus. I mean, it just not a Gigantopithecus, a Dinopithecus. Because I'm sitting there going like, dude, the head, the tail. The ones out of Mason County, what it was is there were some children. They weren't children. They were older teenagers, and I think the oldest one was like 19. They weren't like little kids or anything like that. But they were shooting fireworks, and one of them had a Roman candle, and they saw something move, and they shot into the brush. There's a lot of back roads and county roads here in Texas that are not paved, and they were driving around having fun in these what do you call it, the gravel roads, and they shot at something, and this one creature pops out into the road, just starts running at them. Then another one did, and I'm telling you, the count that they gave us was spot on to a Dinopithecus. But then when we interviewed one of the guys for about a year, I think we just had him, and then one day he emails me and says, "Hey, my friend Mick wants to tell you more about it, whatever." And so I said, "Okay," and so he gave me the story. Now, he's got a pretty good job up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he doesn't want to give his full name. But I said, okay, look, that's fine. I'm not going to give it, whatever. People think you're crazy. You saw a Bigfoot or a dog man. People think you're crazy. But this thing, the way he described it, though, was a little different than his buddy, the way he described it. And now, like you were saying, it's all on their perspectives or whatever. But it still sounded like it could have been like a Dinopithecus because of the baboonish, the way it ran. Because I've seen baboons in Africa, straight up seen them. I know what they look like.
Yeah.
And this thing was running, hunched over, and then kind of stood up. But then when it stood up, they were like, maybe 7 foot tall, standing up. But then it got back down. Now, what I can say is this. I saw this werewolf-looking creature. I don't call it a dog man because I don't know what the hell it was. I saw one that was, looked like a werewolf, and it was wolf-like. I give you my word. That thing looked like a wolf, but it looked big and humanoid, wolf shape. And it was tall, and it didn't look anything like a baboon. I mean, I could sit here and tell you 100% it did not look like a baboon. The thing it looked like, and I have it right here, folks. I've shown you this before. It looked, he's got some maracas. He's having fun, but it kind of looked like that. Like if you open the mouth a little bit there, but that's Charlie Perez's sculpture. I give him credit for that. But that's the thing. I mean, and then Sibylla Irwin drew a picture of it that was a little more accurate because it was thicker on the sides. Big, wide creature that had a wolf's head on it. Did not look baboonish to me at all. The tail is what got me.
The ones we got reports of were like, they don't look like, and when I see renderings of that particular creature, it doesn't look like a wolf or like a baboon to me either. Because their muzzle is so incredibly well formed, their canines are so big that they look like a dog to me when I look at them. So that's what rose it to me, was like people were trying to describe it. And it was the same, very similar. But and I didn't know what a Dinopithecus was. So I started just to kind of look, how big, what in the record existed, what was it, different animals or creatures, besides direwolf and things like that, which didn't really fit what they were talking about either, because the haunches in the back were always either less formed than the back and shoulders. So their back and shoulders looked massive. And so I was like, well, what would, so, because at first I thought, black hyena, that's some type of early black hyena. That's what at first came to my mind.
Like a cave hyena, yeah. I've heard of stories of that too.
That's what I thought. And I thought, man, maybe that's what it is. And so, but when I started looking, what popped up and then what one of the guys identified creature-wise, and it was an artist rendition, so it was pretty dramatic, the one that he saw, but that's what I saw. I'm like, no way, dude. But of course it doesn't look, primate. It looks canine. So it just.
And what about this Gugwe?
I have no clue.
You weren't done yet. Robert, go ahead, finish.
No, I'm good. Go ahead. I'm done. I was just at the end of my thought. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to throw you off. But Robert, what about this Gugwe type creature? And if you said you don't know what that is. What that is?
Well, no, I know the name, but I've never really done a whole lot of research because I guess there's maybe not enough accounts that I can directly attribute to it. So So what I know of it was pretty vague and could be easily attributed to something else, and I didn't ever have enough look into it to know, So about all I know is the name.
Well, I got one for you, New Mexico. I'm not going to say it on the show. Maybe I can get her to tell you. Yeah. We have one. Yeah, it was in southern New Mexico, I believe. I can tell you this. There's another one in Arizona I got that was very similar to that. But these, though, the ones that we got reports of, and I don't know if the, I mean, we got 3 or 4 in that New Mexico, Arizona southern border area. What I wonder though is what, because they're really tall and they're kind of rangy looking. They don't look like these big hulking ones that we've heard of, like from other states like Arkansas and different places like that, saying that they've seen this upstate New York. Somebody gave me a report of this huge, massive creature with a big snout, with a small muzzle, wide head, but it was Bigfoot, like had straight legs. Now this one here, the one that I was going to tell you about the Gugwi, that I was, it was in Arizona. This one, and it was a guy, and he literally saw this thing like messing with the trash in the neighbor's trash, and he's like, I see this snout on it, but I don't see a tail, and the body, like the lower body, looked primate like it had a big butt. He said it had a big butt, is what he said, but it had wide legs. And what's really crazy about this one is that when it saw him, it kind of looked both ways and then immediately went toward him. Like it was like, oh, okay, you're out here. He was trying to get his cat to come back inside, and he couldn't find the cat. The cat never did find the cat. That was a sad thing. But this thing was looking in people's food, garbage, whatever. And it saw him, and it looked around and then went towards him, and it had red eyes. He said that what's even weirder, though, what he said was its eyes did not start off as red. This is in a subdivision. Like I can maybe give you the information. But he said that it didn't start off as red. But then when he started focusing on him, he started seeing the red. And then when it was running, it started slowly moving and then running. You could see it kind of like making tracers with its eyes, which was weird the way he said that, but not unheard of. And then he said,
it makes sense actually.
Yeah, it does, but it's not. People don't usually describe that, but some people do.
Right.
Some people do. And then he said it was like self-illuminated almost. But I did ask him this, and I said, Mike, his name was Mike, but I said, Mike, let me ask you a question. Were there street lights? And he said, we had sparse street lights and not real powerful. And we do construction security a lot. And one of the things I notice is the street lights, dang it, they're the last thing to come on. And we need them. And the city or whatever county, they always take so long to get those put in. And it really could help us a lot, but they don't. So then this thing's running toward him. He said once it came out into the street light, he goes, it was already glowing, the red eyes. Because I was asking, he said, I know where you're going with that. He was like, no, it was self-illuminating. And then he said that it was only about 6.5 feet tall, but he said, I'm not joking, it must have been 4 foot wide. And he said that at the shoulders, at least, the legs, it tapered down the body, but the legs were straight, and it had, like he said, a big butt. And he said it looked almost like a human with a lot of fur. And I said, fur or hair? Now, that's the difference. He said,
Sure.
No. It was fur. It was furry, like an ape. But it had a weird-looking kind of wolf-like snout. And he said, have you ever heard of anything like that? And his daughter's in the background, actually his granddaughter, and that she watches the show. And she was like, yes, he's heard of it. Just tell him. And he goes, okay. He doesn't watch my show. She does. Thank goodness her and her husband do. But he's getting up there in years. But he was like, look, man, I know what I saw. He said it happened 20 years ago, but I remember like it was yesterday. He scared the crap out of me. He goes, I ran back inside, never saw my cat again, and doesn't know if that thing took it or not, but I would hazard to guess probably. Like I said, that was in southern Arizona on the border. They were in the suburbs. But what really got me about that incident right there was that like if you go to certain areas and like they get the descriptions, they're very similar it's almost like there's a type that lives in that area.
Sure.
But even then with the type, like you'll get weird reports like, okay, here in Central Texas and like near Thorndale, that area, Thorndale, Lexington, whatever, we'll get Bigfoot reports, but they're always these weird looking, like troglodyte, almost hominin looking Bigfoot. And they look super primitive and they're hyper aggressive. And people will say that they have gray faces. Faces. And we haven't had reports of that in a long time, but
the ones both or several, but I've seen two real clear face to face, and they both had gray ash color.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
real ashy, like damn near if you just got a bunch of fireplace ash, the black and the gray.
Yeah.
Smoke it all again good, so it was kind of mottled a little bit. And then one of them George has real orange hair, real orangey, but it's on the scalp. You could tell under the orange, his hair's not all that thick. The scalp under his hair is very dark, like well, I used to have a wolf hybrids, and their hair was, even the white ones, moved the hair to the side. It was almost black, and their skin, and his was like that, and then it mottled. So it was very mottled, like uneven complexion mottled, and it was very ashy. So the top underneath his eyes is mottled with a
What the
lighter
hell
gray.
is that? Like, what
Well, it's
is
just
that?
I don't know, but it's just their tone, but real ashy, not more than you'd think on a hominin, on any kind of big hominin.
Yeah.
You don't judge it that way. And that's part of the reason our brains do weird shit, because it doesn't associate some of these traits, and it tries to figure things out and filter them the best they can. So that's what's kind of tricky really about them is that, and I think that's one of the reasons they're hiding, and your mind just doesn't pick up on them. But what do soldiers do and things, and especially recon and stuff, the face paint, black is a big deal to break up your shape and not reflect light the same way and all that. So I can certainly see its usefulness.
It's so bizarre when you look at these reports, and like without fail, most of the reports we got, other than the ones we got near Granger Lake, I think he was on the live stream. I think it was Ray Garza, Anthony.
How long ago was that?
It was months ago, but he talked about seeing a Bigfoot in a boat. He was with his brother fishing at Lake Granger, right where Big San Gabriel River comes.
Yeah.
And they said they saw one that was 9 foot tall, and like they saw the eyes and everything. And those are big. That's a big boy. I mean, but these other ones though, that one didn't look, from what I remember. I can't remember exactly what he said, but if I remember correctly, it didn't have a description like that. It didn't. So you got these weird, and then you have dogmen that just straight up people see them. They're wolf-like. They're always. I don't even think here in our hometown area, I don't think any of them look anything but wolf-like.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any that look like the Dinopithecus, like in Mason County. There was another place we got one out of the Mason County. Was it what is that place called? Right outside of El Paso. Look it up. It's on the way. Not Elkhorn. What's it called? Van Horn. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell into the mic, but I've tried to remember, and it's like, yeah, I'm all proud of myself because I remembered something, But no, seriously, that is, it's very interesting that you were talking about the ones. So you saw those yourself, Robert?
Yeah, the Bigfoot that I just described, yeah, and I've got a little bit of video and stuff too, and it's certainly the one I photographed on the Sandia it's just the yardage between us and them through the foliage, but so they're horrible. But the black, his one of them's hair was all black in the photo, and then but the gray face in contrast to the black is pretty blatant, and then the ones I've seen close are the same way. It's either darker or lighter, but there was no like flesh tone, and even in the modeling, the lighter parts of the modeling weren't like modeled with like pink. They're modeled with like lighter ashy gray. So, that is just really odd, but yeah. And then the big male that I videoed at only like 40 feet, but the camera wasn't the best. His face is that same way. It's to the point if they stood in front of sun bleached bark, you'd have hell seeing them. I mean, until you see the form of face, but they could. It's that same thing.
I got two people trying to. I guess I'll say something here. Shout out to BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and a shout out to Larry Fisher. Folks, actually, they both, one of them saying, or Larry's saying to give BMR the credit for putting us together. Actually, no offense to anybody, but me and Robert have been friends for a long time on Facebook, and we started talking after that post he made about the rake, what's it called, the chupacabra. But these guys are your fans, and they actually did they did cut for you, man. They told me you'd be a good guest, so I do give them credit for that. But I was already talking to Robert because of the whatever. My fans like to say, "Hey, man, I hooked you up with this guy," and that's cool. I do appreciate anybody that hooks us up. But me and Robert have been talking already. But just FYI, it's not BMR or Larry, and both of you gave a glowing recommendation for him to come on the show. But we had already talked. But it's like minds think alike. So there's that.
Well,
so
I really appreciate, and not to cut you off, I really appreciate as well from those people that are pushing us out there, because we work really, really hard to go out and put ourselves in pretty rough positions to get answers without supposition, So I do what we can.
Yeah, and you're kind of a Indiana Jones of the. You go out and you do your. Do you carry a whip? Do you have to fight off booby traps? And
How do you
stuff?
feel about snakes?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I tell you right now,
scared to death of snakes. No.
Yeah, you have your own style of hat. Is that the one you usually wear, or is that a different?
Yeah, I wear them until I wear them out.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point about it. I do just keep the sun off. And basically, I just go down to REI, grab a hat with buttons on the side so I can get those out of the way, and then wear it.
You go out in these dangerous.
They look rough.
Oh yeah, you go out in this dangerous terrain, and you go and you do this isn't boots on the ground. This is like expedition type stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
And you guys go out there and you rough it and you try to find these creatures. My problem with that, and I have done boots on the ground. I don't brag about it. I don't talk about it. I went out with Art Vyers, the NADP director here, and he lives at Austin Colony. And we went out and we went all over Hoxie area, and we went through the Granger Lake area, and we went all through there's a lot of reports through that area. And I have no problem now, especially. I did for years. I didn't want to go out and do that because I didn't like what was out there. But now, over the last several years, I've had to conquer my fear. We've all had to go out and talk to people at their ranches and their farms and talk to people. One of the things that I have a renewed respect for people who are able to go out there and stay for days at a time, because for me, I start getting bored if I'm out there and I'm not finding anything and there's nothing. It's not going to keep my attention. I'm a book person. I like to read and I like to get information. And if I'm not getting information, I get antsy. And so that's my thing. That's kind of why I do the investigative journalist side of it, I guess, if that's what you want to put a fancy name on it. But what you do is real boots on the ground. There's all these people out there claiming they're boots on the ground. I'm so sick of hearing it, dude. They're not. They just say they are. But you're definitely one of the real people that does it. Now, being said,
everybody does. Oh, go ahead.
No. That being said, I have a question for you though. You doing this? And this is maybe a tricky question to answer, but what started? Were you just passionate about it as a kid, and you said, "I want answers. I want to know what this is," or did you stumble into it?
Yeah.
Or, how did it happen?
No. When I was 6 years old, I made the decision I didn't want to be lied to. Period. I even said a prayer at that young age to God that don't let me be deceived. I just want truth. I don't care what any of the truth is. I just want to know, because I was already just amazed at all this cool, weird shit. And I had seen UFOs as a really small child and had some pretty sketchy stories go on with involvement with that stuff at a really young age. And then it just, I was exposed to stories and things early from, the homesteader parts of my family, the homestead of New Mexico early on before anybody was really in here. And just a lot of that. So by the time I was at a pretty early age, I already knew that we weren't being told everything. And naturally, when I first even got into kindergarten, I'm asking the teachers about this wild stuff because I'm ready to learn about it. And they're like, that doesn't exist. You're nuts. Well, it's like, yeah, it does. Even at this age, I've already seen things, lady. You can't tell me it doesn't exist at that point. So I was already becoming basically upset with it. And by the time I was, even 9 or 10, and the show In Search Of came out, I noticed at that time that all of a sudden that it was a question, because before 75, there was not really a question. Bigfoot was undiscovered and it was unclassified, but it wasn't just regarded as a myth. It was regarded as something that people had seen And it wasn't even scoffed at the way it is now, even to that degree, because it's been perpetuated to be a myth ever since like 75. And you'll notice that's when the Army Corps of Engineers and the other Army maps and things and the sheets telling them what species they're going to deal with. I know you guys have all seen some of that stuff floating around the web. Those things in 74, that's the last time that they were ever included in that. And the next year they were gone. And so there was what appears to be an information campaign to create the narrative of a mythological what if and to take away some of the reality of it. And that was because everything that got presented to the populace from that, in production wise, from that point forward, left it for one as in most cases as a single creature out there that would akin more to the Frankenstein monster thing, or that it was probably a big monkey or something like that if it existed, and maybe it did, maybe it didn't, and so it was removed off the table, so to speak. And so, and I noticed that 10, 11 years old when that came out, I noticed that, and so that even drove me harder. Because now I'm getting teased here. They're showing us this radical footage and this great stuff going on. And yet at the very same note, they're saying, but we don't know if this is real. And regardless of what was behind it, when other things with that type of credibility and backstory and things probably would have been taken serious. And I just got frustrated as a child. And so as I grew older and older, by the time I was even, well, of course, we went through high school, I did all kinds of dastardly deeds that young kids do and whatnot. And so I was pretty busy until 18. And then when I was, working it out on my own, doing my own thing, just making my own decisions, then first thing I got into was exploring, everywhere and trying to get to places nobody could get to because what's there, even along the California coast, we'd just throw ropes off the edge of the cliff, even with massive waves below us, just because we saw a crack from a boat or whatever. And it's like, there's no reason to go look in the crack, but that's the way my mind works. And so it just kind of went on from there.
Yeah. Good night, Sugar Bridges. I think she's checking out. That's one of our mods. I hope you feel better, guys. Say a prayer for her. Thank you for always being there, Sugar Bridges. And so, Robert, the question for me though, you do this stuff, and this has become like an all-consuming passion. It's like it's just always kind of always been like a search for the truth, or
Yeah,
it was
and
something that
and
kind of
I've
ramped up recently, more
I've
ramped up.
done yeah, and I've done work all my life, been in all types of restaurant management to polymer development corporations for like Raytheon, all the way through auto mechanics and auto paint artwork, blah 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 blah. I've done a million things, heavy equipment operator, mining. But at the same time, everything was to basically just keep the world going, the bills pay, of course, express my artistic or engineering traits that I have, but at the same time, it was all still focused and geared around this. So since I was literally 6, all I wanted to do was find the truth and show it, whatever the hell it was. I didn't care what it was. It made me mad that anybody would even start making things up, basically. And that's a lot of the scientists,
Well, there's a lot
so
of
to
that
speak.
going on. Believe me.
So
That's
well, most of what we teach in curriculum wise is all supposition
Mhm.
and theorizing,
What's a bull crap?
and it is based on available information. But at the same time, they're not actually going out there and completing all the work. They're not completing the work. That's what gets me. They work to a point, they make a supposition, an idea or two, and then everyone plays with that from then on. And a lot of it is, it's like I saw an example today. I'm talking about the inner Amazon. So everything that they're finding is all around the outer boundaries of the Amazon. Now with LiDAR and stuff, they're finding things in the Amazon in the deep interior, of course, that change everything about history because of the population density and the way that they lived and everything and what they did and how early those times are. They're finding them as back as 30,000 years. And that's just the way it is. But no one is completing any study. There's been no boots on the ground. And almost there's only been 1 or 2 teams ever go in and sample some stuff. And other than that, it's just sitting there. No one's looking at it, like they said, because it's not worth it without being paid to try to make your way to the middle of the Amazon jungle. It's just logistically, it's a nightmare. And just so people assume that, oh yeah, there's going to be an archaeologist, go take a look at that, whatever. Hey man, these guys don't have 50 to 80 grand in their pocket to put together an expedition to get them in the center of the Amazon. We have
Fuck
to
the
be
Congo.
realistic here. Yeah, without a major, whether it's a production company or it's an academic study or something like this with big funding or a foundation or something like that that's willing to go take 5 people, fly them in somewhere for 6 months or a year, and pay for all that it takes to support that until those things occur, they don't get looked at. So hardly anything's been analyzed, and that's another driving force. And then with me, and it has been in the past, where a lot of it's off limits, and which kind of jerked my chain as well. It's like, you don't even know what's there when you tell me it's off limits. I mean, to a point to where, technically the government's not supposed to even own land. It's all our land. They just manage everything. So when there's something that could change the historical paradigm and benefit mankind, maybe in its understanding in a way that'll benefit its future, it's still off limits. So, especially throughout my early years of doing this, it was pretty much guerrilla archaeology. I mean, we went wherever we wanted to go. It didn't matter. You get chased by white vans or black helicopters. It doesn't matter. And then we get in and look at what we want to look at. And we get out. And sometimes there's been problems, and other times there hasn't. But overall, well, we've done a lot of 3-letter agencies, and I think that. And we've been told that, in some forms we've gained some respect because, we're kind of relentless and tenacious, and it's kind of respected. And then we try to respect certain forms of boundaries for obvious reasons. And especially sometimes when it comes to potentially relating what we've encountered at certain points in time. So you have to play a balancing trick. And it's not just so, it's certainly not to where you feel, or I feel like I have the information, so I feel good because I'm privy and you're not at all. That's not it. It's more like I want to live through the next 6 months, or I want to be able to tell you the rest of the story without so much interference that you never get to hear it. Right. So.
Yeah, there's this funny meme I saw the other day on my timeline. I think I stole it and was like, I haven't used it yet, but I guess I will. But it says 99% of scientists agree with whatever their funding tells them. It's like that's damn straight. That's exactly what they do. It's like if somebody's paying you a bunch of money, well, and we're not going to name names, but you and I agreed on a particular scientist is very prominent and he gets a lot of press, and I'm not going to say his name, but we know. And you were saying that, and I was over there nodding my head, going, "Yeah, that's." And then we started talking about it because it's not hard to figure out like who's real and who's not. If you just do a little bit of research and a little bit of work, you could see who's the real deal and who's not. And there's all these people out there. And you were giving me some fantastic advice yesterday. And don't think I didn't listen, because I did. Just because I was blow drying my hair and brushing my teeth and yelling at my dogs while you were talking. I'm joking. I didn't do any of that. But no, when we were talking yesterday, you were giving me some fantastic advice, and you gave me food for thought, which you were telling me about the situations I was going through, and you were like, look, they do this, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, because why wouldn't there be somebody kind of trying to obfuscate? Because that's the whole plan. I mean, they want to keep people like us away, because if we talk and we start coming up with things, then that's bad. That's not good. They don't want, and then they can't control. There's a certain thing about people like us. We're unpredictable. They can't control what we're going to do, what we're going to say, and what we're going to pop up with next. They want to be able to have people that they can predict and they can control, and they won't rock the boat. So I noticed that the more I've rocked the boat and the more I've talked to certain individuals, the more trouble I've had. And I try to stay above that, but I also have a very smart audience, and I tell my audience all the time, look, folks, this is what's going on. I keep them in the loop, so and there's all these people that are just like, well, I just want to hear you talk about Dogman stories, whatever. That's a very small part of this, and that's one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday in our conversation. We got into the whole subject of ancient civilizations, and you made a statement that made me know 100% that you were a smart guy that I could work with, and I'll tell you why. What you said, he goes, that you said where it all begins and ends. And I said, that's right. That's exactly right, because how are you going to know where you're at or where you're headed if you don't know where you've been? That's a problem.
Fact. Yeah. Well, that's what they say. He who controls the history controls the future.
Mm-hmm.
So
And they have a vested
you know,
interest in keeping it covered up. They want us to be ignorant. They
yeah.
don't want us to know these things. They don't want us to be
Well,
over there uncovering things.
and it's really not even that sinister, their motivation. They, there, whoever, the right. So it's not even in a sense that deep or that sinister. It's actually pretty simplistic. It's more like, man, just shut up and get back to work. Why in the hell do you care about all this side stuff? You know, get some rest so you can be ready to go to work. Come on, man. I need new teak wood on my yacht. You guys should just be working. I don't understand why you're not happy. You know, you should be happy. You know, you got everything. You got stuff to watch. You got stuff to drink. You get all messed up. You
Bread
go to
and
sleep,
circuses.
wake up, go back to work. You know, listen to you. Have all kinds of drama and loyalties and affiliations and splits. And man, you guys live an interesting life. Just get back to work. So.
And us, you know, it's like when they try to put you on a medication, they might as well just tell you, well, what would be best for us is if your whole family was on this medication. And I'm like, okay, how about what's best for me is I just don't talk to you anymore and I just figure it out, because that's what they want. They want everybody on these meds, and they want everybody doing all, and then your mind's all, you can't think straight, you can't do nothing, you can't figure anything out. And then every month there's a new, I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want trouble, but there's a new one that comes out, and you got to go get sick again, and then you got brain fog and everything else. Dude, I'm telling you, everything they're doing to me is like you said. It's geared toward, look, you were supposed to be slaves. You were born as a slave race. You need to stay a slave race, and you need to stay what you're doing. And why are you stay in your lane? Stop asking questions, you know. And then once in a while they go, oh, we got a smart one here, you know. And then they throw the dummies at you, and then you have to fight off all these dummies before, and then it wears you down, and you just say give up and quit. That's what they want, and they want you to quit, because the dullards, and the best thing that can happen to them are the fakes, because the fakers will get in the way, a dissension of the real truth, and people like you and I don't have conversation. That's the problem right there. And then you get so tired of it, because in that same group that I was getting tired of some of the people's nonsense, and I'm like, look, I'm tired of arguing with these people. I can't get anything out of these people. And some of these groups do that. And I think some of these people are in there just to do that. They're NPCs. They're not real. They're just in there to pretend, and so they can get a rise out of you, and they can needle you. Another group you were talking about, which I'm not going to name, that one there too. They have a pack of hyenas in there that if you say anything, they jump on you. And they call me the woo-woo master in there, and I'm like, at least I'm the master. I'm the master of it, whatever.
Oh, I'm the I'm like King Larper, man. Me and Terry even got a standing joke. We're the Larpers, you know. So we make a good sitcom, you know, night with the Larpers or whatever. So that's what we are. We just dress up and play the part. That's all we do. And I guess it's green screen. The rest is green screen. So.
It's all that backdrop of a canyon, of an arroyo canyon. That's a green screen. Tomorrow we'll put an alien back there behind it. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's people don't know that's just across the street from Walmart. That's just wherever we we pick Walmarts with a good scenic view, and it's easier, you know. Cheaper.
So I'm gonna throw a curveball at you here for the audience, but I was gonna ask you a question, because we touched on Dulce yesterday. You know, now tell me a little bit about, because for my money, I was, you know, if he goes back to the chupacabra and the rake and all these different creatures, are they there? Do they have a menagerie there, or one of these bases? Do you think that's true? Do you think that they really do have that? Because I've heard that from multiple people now, including supposed eyewitnesses. I say supposed, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I don't know 100%, and Tony and Auntie don't know 100%. All we know is what they tell us. But what do you think? I mean, in your opinion, because we touched on that a little bit yesterday, do you believe that there could be something there that's like worth talking about?
So I guess I could just start that with a quick question. What don't people do that they have the ability to do? What don't they do? When they have the ability to do something. Think about it. People in general have done every single thing, one time or another in history, every single thing they could. No matter how heinous it is, or how brilliant it is, or how selfish it is, or how giving it is, it doesn't matter. They have done someone, no matter how crazy, sane, or otherwise, has done every single thing they can do. So if you're handed an unlimited ability to do anything, what are you going to do? that's the potential how you have to look at the human issue in all of
Yeah.
this, because there are entities who money is not a question. Of course, there are entities we fund that like that. And even like Lockheed said, that if it was worth doing, they've already done it, or they've decided it's not worth it, period. When you can imagine that people with resources in the biologic sciences having those same things would probably say the same thing. We've already done it. We've tried it. If it could be done, we've done it, and we continue to do that. And we only don't do what's not viable, but we still try it. So
Yeah.
where does that leave us, right? That leaves us with an outrageous amount of potentials. Where can your imagination go? And the way Lockheed stated it was, everything you can imagine, it's already been tried. And that's just because they've got, hundreds of super freaks and nerds and everybody else with all their idiosyncrasies coming up with just whatever flamboyant idea, and they'll run with it just to see if it has any validity. You can imagine this has been done with genetics, and everything else as well. So I would not discount that. And as well, I wouldn't discount the sensibilities of other creatures, races, beings, being so different than mine that may be what they do. And they may do it for heinous, what we would decide is heinous, or, who knows? For all I know, they're milking humans for basically chemicals that we secrete that could be a form of narcotic to them, and they just may be milking us for space drugs. And be,
I mean, they're milking
the
horseshoe
galaxies,
crabs into extinction. I mean,
right?
so
And I mean, and they may be milking us for compounds that make them do one thing or another, feel one way or another. It could be that simplistic, believe it or not. We could literally be the victim of a galactic drug trade.
Right there, okay. I know people are going to laugh and say that's goofy, whatever, but I'm going to tell you right
Yeah.
now, I'm going to stop you right there. That's something that's crossed my mind because I thought about it. When you think of what comes with the pineal gland and all that, probably shouldn't say the name of it, but think about it. Now, could these entities, we're all just part of it, and like one of the people that was a witness, she claimed to have seen what she thought was a vampiric. My audience already knows this story. I'm not going to retell it, but a vampiric type entity, and it was even described to her by her captors. I say captors because they were pretending to be her friends. They weren't her friends. They were taking her to a facility, and they were knocking her out with whatever they give her, and then doing experiments. But what's crazy though, when you look at that story, and then there's another guy that stepped forward, and since then another person's told me a story very similar. This guy said so much that he got abducted within a cave. Like this other guy was telling me this story. It was Mammoth Cave, and he went in there, and he told me, he's like, I passed out, got abducted by something, some sort of weird looking creatures. They were blue. He told me that. What's crazy though, it's not that that's not crazy enough, but he said, dude, that was like the 8th or 9th time that he had been abducted, and he had no prior memory to those other ones. But after this one, he had a memory of all of them. Like he woke up to the reality. This had been happening for a while. And he said these creatures that abducted him, I say creatures, I don't know, humanoids, inhumanoids, whatever. He asked them a lot of questions, and they were there in those caves looking for species to abduct. That's what they were doing. It was like a team of them down there. And they were human looking, but they were blue. He said they looked blue. And now if you're uninitiated and you've never heard of anything like this, like I would say, Tony, Anthony, when we first started the show back in 2019, we weren't getting tons of reports of blue aliens, but now we're getting reports of these alien abductions like weekly.
Yeah.
Because of what we talk about. I don't remember when we started much about like the alien abduction thing was kind of, we were on the fringe of that. But it really ramped up when I and Barton Ellie, who just left the chat a minute ago. Good night, Barton. But Barton's a good friend of mine, so sleep tight, brother. This is the crazy thing. We were doing like interviews of like 12 different people. By the time we did the fifth, I think it was the 5th interview, 4 of those 5 people who were talking about Bigfoot had been abductees. And it was after the Jesus Payan interview, I believe. And Jesus he started off talking about alien abduction. And I was like, wow. And then afterwards, I told Barton, I was like, "Is it just me or all these people?" And he finished my sentence. He's like, "They're all abductees, bro." The way he talks, he's like, "It's unreal." I was like, and it just went on and on. Every time we talked to somebody, they were an abductee. They were an abductee. Interesting about Jesus, he's the guy from Breaking Bad. He's the one that he was at my conference. He was on the panel.
Yeah, I've been in the
He
field with
actually-
him several times.
Oh yeah, so you know him then, and so Jesus had said that he saw a Bigfoot and that happened in New Mexico. So,
And I'm
it's
sure it
really,
was probably on one of my outings or one of our outings. Yeah, probably.
yeah. I think he mentioned your name, and we were sitting there talking about that, and then we got into this kind of side conversation about alien abduction and what. But this guy that saw these, his name is Nathan. He had this encounter. He said, "Dude, I was passed out, and then when I came back to, my shirt was on backwards because they'll put your clothes on incorrectly." And he was like, "I had memory now of prior abductions that had been happening roughly once a year." And so he was a young guy, and he was with his girlfriend. His girlfriend was sitting there sleeping too. And she didn't have any recollection. She just thought they had taken a nap. But he said that these beings told him. Now they weren't blue like electric blue, like whatever, but they were light blued skin.
That cast.
And they looked,
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't have eyebrows though, but they looked like us. They didn't have any facial hair. It was weird, but they were just pure, like they weren't angry or messed up. Like they didn't talk down to him or be ugly to him. They treated him politely. But they had a job to do, and they were there, and they had picked him up. And he said that these were not the original beings that had put the tracker in him. When they talked to him, he remembers them telling him, "We found a tracker in you," and they did him a favor, and they pulled it out. And he said, "We don't look for humans. We're looking for subterraneans. You know them as subterraneans." Also describing to him that there was a two different races of beings in that area that lived deep within the earth that were very, very hostile and violent, and that they were trying to abduct them, just like the Greys or the reptilians or whatever would abduct humans. And it was because they wanted something from these beings. These beings had something, some kind of enzyme that they used. So it was very interesting when he was telling us this whole story. What you're talking about sounds very, very interesting because that makes sense. Like, and I made that statement one day. I was at a UFO conference, and I said that to a couple people, and this one lady, you could tell she was a skeptic. That's fine, but she was like laughing. She's like, "Okay, so they're going to take our blood, and that's what." I was like, "I didn't say blood. I said something else, and you're making it funny out of it. That's fine." I told her though, I was like, and I said, you know, she's got her own issues, but I told her, I said, look, the people that I was with, they were trying to interview me for their high school magazine, whatever, newspaper, and I was talking to these people, and then she comes up and starts kind of scoffing and making a joke, and you could tell she was just one of those people there to heckle or whatever, and I said, look, these people, okay, that are going through these things. I think when something happens to them, it opens up a new doorway to them because they'll see ghosts. They'll see all kinds of stuff that they never saw before. And this one lady, she was telling us that she sees these shadow beings in her house like all night, all day now. And she's like, it's a nightmare after she got abducted. So that to me, like, or somebody will see a Bigfoot or something, and then they'll have something will happen to them, and afterwards they'll see spirits and things like that. So it's very bizarre. Yeah.
No, that's been reported with lots. I mean, and events follow certain people, and they don't have to be related events. They can be all types of crazy, strange things just happen to certain individuals. I think I'm a victim of that, so I don't know what causes it. Been involved in just too much weirdness without there being some type of synchronicity, whether it be divine intervention or whatever it is. Coming together of the planets, who knows? But certainly does seem to be that way.
Do you think that these beings that like now are we dealing with beings from another? A lot of people don't believe. Bless you. They don't believe in that there's another planet that's involved. I say when you can bend space and time, you can walk out of this planet, be on another planet. That's my opinion. But Some people say,
Yeah.
no, it's not what that is. They're ultra terrestrials, interdimensionals, they're this, they're that. What is
Well,
your
who are
opinion
they?
on that?
Who are there? I mean, that's the thing, is which ones are we discussing?
Well,
So
different.
it's like the Krill papers. I have papers written by William Cooper, as he was writing for his book, and he was distributing those out to 5 individuals to protect his life as a testimonial in the 80s. And I was one of those 5 people receiving them through his attorney. And they go on, all into, well, they go into multiple types, but the main type that they were dealing with as far as our military and stuff that William Cooper was aware of. I mean, that form ingested fluids, mammalian fluids. That's what it consumed. It didn't even consume any solids. And then, it had no digestive tract like we do. It basically secreted its leftovers from the fluid through its skin. And they used an enzyme to clean off this secretion. And that's what their cycle was for eating and things. So, which was also one of the reasons they gave off a particular odor. And then, over the years, it's just a wild thing, because this is one type, and it had been explained to me through the years. There's at least well over 40 different types that they're aware of, that they've dealt with and whatnot, and a lot of them have been here for if not here, they stop here, or they do whatever here occasionally, for hundreds or thousands of years, not just one kind. And people tend to do that. We are very simplistic in that form. The potential diversity within range of travel, when you can travel instantaneously or close to that, is through the roof. And our planet, we can read with the James Webb Telescope around other star systems, and we can easily see planets with what we would now call biosignatures, just like Star Trek. We can see the biosignatures of certain planets at great range. So our planet as well has been thrown out that same thing for anyone who could see it in every direction. So it's not like we're way out here and somebody would just run across us, and what are the odds? We stand out like a sore thumb way out here. And we are of potential interest. And so it's not unlikely that many of their potential, there has to be billions of races mathematically. If they exist at all, if there's one, there has to be billions mathematically.
Yeah.
Within range to notice us. So if that's the case, then we should expect there to be, oh my gosh, imagine the diversity, right? And lots of them are going to be nearly identical, just because of the way the law of averages and the way systems work. We're all governed in this physical reality at that point of being a physical thing, and so you end up with like shapes, like forms. And the thing that differs would be the sensibilities of these things. Mainly, that's why when we look at, like you were even pointing out, to the fact that when somebody was abducted, that it would seem to be just a matter of fact occurrence. I got a job to do, nothing personal. I'm not going to disrespect you or diss you or anything. We try not to hurt you, as much as we can, even though I'm probably going to traumatize your poor little subconscious till the end of your days, whatever. But I got to get this done. That to me, that's a very, very human way as well, depending on how we regard the species we're dealing with, right? Some are way worse than that. I mean, we're horrible to some. So it seems well within the realm, but what I've learned, at least about what we would call the grays, the smaller ones. So there's the larger ones, which we regard as the tall whites, and then and these are the affiliated too. They're directly affiliated, apparently. But the grays, we get a lot of information was in the writs that I received on them, their biology and their home star and planet, and how many days does it take for their planet to revolve around the sun, and all these things. All this information. And one of the things we gleaned was, that really stood out when you look at across the board, and it's kind of unnerving. If you put 2 and 2 and then add the 5, it's really unnerving. So, because, you have a creature, at least these specific types, that ingest fluids, animal fluids, mainly mammalian fluids, at least here. And that when you look at, there's powers that be probably don't want me to necessarily make these connections. I don't tell as much information as I make connections, I guess, for people. So if you have a being like that that's here and it wants to be here and remain kind of unseen, unfound, or whatever, in the planet is going to be where you want to be. And as well, if you travel through the stars and the planets and go everywhere, living in planets is going to be the normal way to do things, just period. Because you can change pressure, you can change temperature and pressure and all these things inside of any rocky body and be cool. So coming here would be no different than that, and they'd have the ability to easily do that. And it's interesting, and I bring that up because with the cattle mutilations that went on in the 60s and up through present day, primarily the tissue that's most often taken is what's called colloidal tissue, or the tissues in the body that produce fluids, whether it be the lymph system, the nervous system, the vascular system. These different systems in the body all create different forms of fluid, the adrenal glands, and each one of these fluids does something and things. So if you have a being that ingests fluids, preferably mammalian type fluids, what couldn't that be what was taking these fluid generating tissues? Now, what are we about to market? This may have seemed crazy in the 70s even, but what are we about to market? Meat that we grow, right? So what if they are taking colloidal tissues to produce cultures of that then produce the fluids they consume? You understand?
Yeah.
And this is odd when we look at, so you can also, and anyone can do this, you can go back through geologic records and find extremely geologically stable places, because that's where you're going to want to put something anyway. And then if you look at each time you had mutilation events in different regions, previous to that, within a year or two, you'll have some small earthquake activity. And there'll be a boom or two around 3.5 to 4, 4.1, 4.2. And then you'll have a month will go by, you'll have a smaller series of booms. Then that'll drop all the way down to about 1 eventually. And then within 6 months or a year of that, you will have mutilations happen in a cell or zone around that activity. And so we should conclude that those two are likely connected because this happens time and time again. I think, just based on my own information that I've had that I was able to put together, with other things that I've been told that I trust, is that those are the creation of underground facilities for their population that's here on our planet. And there's more than one, they're all over the place. And that they do that. They blow them out, just like we do nukes. And then they use and we can do this too, use other nukes to take care of the radiation from the previous nuke. And in so many days, you can move into these things. And then they're giant glassified chambers that are impervious to just about everything. And then naturally, what you would do if you were a race like that is then go to the surface. Once you've established the infrastructure to produce the fluids, then you would go to the surface, procure all the tissues you need, and then take them down below and then culture the fluids, and then you can move your people in. You'd have something to feed them. And then periodically, you would have to re-up that, right? So every so often, you would have to re-up it. And from my understanding, all in all, its potential, and I was joking about it before, the humans would be a delicacy on that map. And so we may not even be much more valuable other than, choice cattle or veal.
Well, they definitely treat us like cattle. I mean, the whole abduction scenario. I mean, it's
some do for sure. And what I've been told is they're not all the same. They don't have all the same agendas and interests, even within the same species. So there's some that agree with the way we're treated, and some that do not agree with the way we're treated.
Yeah, one of the stories I read, I read this, and it was a woman, and I can't remember where I got this from, but I think it was Fate magazine originally or something. There was a story though, and I think I read it in somebody's book too. But it kind of echoed it, and because I remember reading part of it, and I think I looked it up, but I've read thousands and thousands of accounts of things, so I'm trying to keep track. But this one was Grays that had a woman, and they were arguing with these reptilians, and these reptilians were like, they wanted to kill her. They wanted to unalive her, I guess I should say, on YouTube. And
Right.
yeah, and so
Yeah, thanks a
the
lot for that,
Greys,
by the way.
yeah. So Greys were arguing with these reptoids, and they were like, no, not on our ship. It wasn't so much that they didn't want them to kill her. They just were like, well, no, you're not going to do it on our ship. And the reptoid had gotten mad because I guess she had fought back whenever he did something, and he's like, no, we want to, you know. And so then it culminated with one of those reptoids swiping, just clawing one of the Greys and killing him right there. And it was a woman that was retelling this story. And I can't remember where it was at. I was in a book, but I think I read an excerpt of it from Fate Magazine. I want to say that. But anyways, it wasn't somebody's story that gave it to me, but I heard something very similar to that somebody did because I talked about that story on the show. And it may have been when David Wedley was on or something. And somebody said, hey, I had a very similar encounter with that, but it was a mantis type looking creature. That story, remember the last time we did the mantis one?
Yeah.
We got this one right after that, and it was a mantis with two reptoid looking creatures. And there again, the reptoids were arguing with the mantis creature because the mantis says, no, this is literally describing them as an asset.
Yeah.
And the reptoid was like, no, we want to eat it. They wanted,
Right,
and they thought it was no big deal. They were like, you're done with him. Can we just eat him? And they were like, no, this is an asset. And so one of them tried to step up to the mantis creature, and it didn't work out too good for him because the guy that gave us this story, he said that mantis creature had this like weird looking thing that came up off of his hand, and he kind of jabbed one of those creatures and lifted him off the ground and told him, ask me again. And basically was like very adamant that that's not going to happen. And then I'll toss you off of this craft. And then they were like, okay. But it was a telepathic argument. And the other one kind of grabbed some sort of like weapon looking thing. And when he did, this is the weirdest thing not weirdest, but this isn't even the weirdest I've ever heard. But this guy told us, he said, when this happened, this guy's name was Andrew. He said these two creatures came in and they looked very wolf-like, like some sort of like dogman looking creatures. And and they were with a smaller mantis type headed creature, and that warned them, look, you know, we're going to have a problem here. You know, we're going to terminate you if you continue with this. And so this guy's abduction, that was one of the parts of the abduction. He remembers a couple weeks later, a couple months later, he had another abduction, and they kind of apologized to him, and they said, look, you know, and one of these beings that was standing there that looked like a human, he was a blonde-haired human, and he kind of walked with him because they understood, I guess, that it would be more appropriate for him to be talking to a human-looking person. And
Right.
he asked them about that incident that had happened the time before, and he says those are a type of reptilian. There's hundreds of them, but that particular species is very, very violent and warlike, and they'll eat anything, and in particular, they like eating people, humans. And he's like, my species just tries to avoid them because we've actually got into it with them, but was explaining to them that they're all part of like a covenant, you know, like an agreement or whatever. But there's infighting, and like you said, there's infighting
Sure.
even within their own species. They'll fight with each other. And he said there's another species of reptilian that branched off from them and told Andrew they live within the earth, and they won't have anything to do with those other ones because the other ones, they said, were actually so violent that they're cannibalistic, and they would eat each other, and they wanted to get away from them. And so there was a civil war that was fought like 200,000 years ago, and they ended up under the earth, and they've been there ever since. But that there are enclave upon enclave upon enclave of species, and then different levels within the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it is so bizarre. I mean, you get into the whole Dulce thing, and I've had people tell me so many times that they've been abducted or something, especially since we've been talking about it more. We were talking about doing the UAP project. I had Chris James. I'd like to include you. I was going to have Jason Bland, Nick Redfern, and it was originally me, Nick, and Christopher Jordan. Then we added Daniel Jones and Chris James and a few other people. James Bartley. We're gonna do a big old thing, and I'd like to have a panel. and do it over the course of, I was going to do it like maybe next month or something, and just do it over the course of several sessions with like a panel on here. And I don't know if the audience would like that, but we're just going to focus on the UAP project. It's just going to be, you know, two things to me. It's, yeah, unidentified aerial phenomena and unidentified alien presence. I believe it fits either one. But so, Robert, I'm going to let you run, man. I mean, I'll count you in on that. I'll give you the details. And then, of course, folks, I always do this. I started off writing a book, all right? And I'm about, you know, two chapters in. I'm like, I think I got this. I'm going to do this. And then I get a call from an associate. It was Nick Redburn. And he's like, hey, let's do the MK Ultra. And I'm like, I looked down at what I was actually trying. My hands are so bad I can barely type. What I was trying to type, and I said, you know what? That's a perfect idea because I'm over here turning this into. I thought maybe we should, but we should look at I want to look at the alien aspect of it from what happened to some of these people and what their connection to this was, what the alien technology was doing, you know.
Right.
That's something, and I think you and I touched a little bit on that. Was it yesterday? I guess when we talked.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely want to get some more information. We'll be in touch, Robert. We got a lot in common. We got a lot to do. So for sure,
sounds great.
Left a lot of meat on the bone. Thanks for coming on, man, and be careful down there in the land of enchantment, my friend.
No, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on. It's been a privilege, Josh. I've was looking forward to it, and it's been a good deal. So.
Tell everybody where they can find you, Robert.
So you can find some of our research. We don't have a lot posted, but you can come check us out and see our services at kryderexploration.com. What we do have in the research archive is pretty off the wall. You might want to check that out. And that will be growing eventually. And then you can also find us on YouTube at KX, Kryder Exploration. We're on Facebook under the name Kryder Exploration, both on the page and group. And then our cryptid hominid studies or our Bigfoot studies are at KX Cryptid Hominid, Bigfoot, and more. I believe that's what it is. But you'll probably find it with KX Cryptid Hominid or through one of our other sites, or just reach out and contact us and we'll shoot you where you need to go.
Yeah. And Robert Kryder, everybody, the Indiana Jones of the Southwest over here. So
well, thanks, Josh, for letting me get the information out there too. That's what we need mainly is platforms big enough to handle a load. So we have a lot more to say. So
we do. We definitely do. We need to record. We'll set it up. But thanks for being on, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, real soon.
All right. Thanks, brother. I'll see you soon.
Right. Bye. So that was Robert Kryder. And Robert and I have been talking for a while. We've been trying to put a show together. He's a very busy guy. He's got a lot going on. But he gave me a lot of information yesterday, and it was he also gave me a little bit of a pep talk too. And so, yeah, you know, I know the other people are saying, oh, the outpouring has just been amazing. Well, for me, it really has. For us, it has. I mean, every day people are telling us, hey, we're on your side. We want a better community. We want more out of our communities. We should ask for more out of, if you wouldn't put up with this in your own neighborhood, why would you put up with it in your favorite, whatever? This isn't something that people need to be putting up with. We got to put a stop to this nonsense that's going on. Folks, I'm going to keep bringing the heat on the show. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep investigating. I'm going to keep bringing you people, real people that talk about real things, bringing you real people's stories to talk about that. We could talk about their stories. A lot of times when we talk about a subject, we'll get a story based on that subject, and we don't always drop it right away. We always just kind of go over it as a team, and we'll put it into a file, and we'll completely forget about it. I'm joking, folks. I'm joking. No, we do that too. Anthony had to jump me the other day. He was like, I said, I can't find these files. And he's like, well, they're not in the computer. And I'm like, of course they're not. I'm like, they're not in the computer. What's that mean?
Yeah, he was like unscrewing the side of it.
No, I was.
Picking fleas out of his hair and eating them while he's doing it.
Files are so old.
Zoolander, what was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Smashing it.
Yeah. The files are so old that when he,
Don't take the camera, take it off me, he wants to talk crap.
All right, go ahead.
I was saying the
Let's see what
file
you
was
got.
so old that when he grabbed it, he actually blew dust off of it.
And like on Zoolander, it's in the computer.
Yeah.
They're slamming. They're slamming the screens. You're like, how does this work? How does this flicker box have these little people in there running around? No, I figured it out, man. No, I was, you know, I like you said, I unscrewed some things and I had some things taken apart, and I was trying to find the files. I was looking for paper, and he was like, look, man, it's digital, okay? Pushes a button. He taught me how to use the remote for the TV because he thinks he's smart, whatever. No, I'm not computer illiterate, folks, joking about that. What happened though is I couldn't find the files, and I was like, my files are gone. And I started panicking, you know. And he goes over there and he hits two buttons, and it's right there. And I'm like, I knew that. I was testing you to see if you knew that. And he's like, you called me downstairs to test me for that. I was like, absolutely. And he just slams the door. I don't know why he got mad. I mean, I would have eventually found it. It was 4 a.m. by 5:30. I would have found it. That's what time I had to take Scorp to work. So I knew that I would be able to find it by then. And no, dude, for real, I did. I lost some files, and it was weird. They weren't, you know, and then they showed up, you know, on his computer, not mine. It was a weird thing. But you never know what's going on, because we do have weird things. And I'm going to tell you a weird story. There was a woman that reached out to me, and she had, get this, like we're talking here, she had a ton of UFO photos that she had taken. Somebody earlier, I saw Sedona, Arizona. She lives right outside of there. And she says, I live in a very peaceful place, but it's very haunted, very enchanted, blah, blah, blah. And she told me, she's like, you know, I'll call her B, all right? And she said, look, I know what was on my computer. She's like, and I saw a shadowy, she didn't say it was a shadow person. She described it as a shadowy being, very tall, kind of a wraith-looking thing. And it wandered through her house, and she was asleep, and she was dreaming this the first time it happened. And it went into her husband's study. He had a study, kind of like I do. And she thinks that it was trying to access her computer. Not like this computer in front of me, clicking, whatever. There's a computer here, or whatever, or a screen, or whatever. This computer, does it, can you go inside of this one? I'm not making fun of you, B. I'm saying, so what this person B told me, she said that she had a dream. She woke up and she said, what a bizarre dream. I was dreaming this, right? So she gets up and goes to bed. She said a couple days later, she was in the bathroom and she sees, now this gave me the chills. She said she's like blow drying her hair, and she looks over, and right there out of the bathroom door, there's a wall right there. She said this being comes walking through the walls, and she saw solid black, but she could see the head movement, like it looked towards her and just kept walking through her house, her room, and then out the door. And she was like staring at it like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Then this thing walks and turns and goes right into that study again. She followed it. She's like, I just got my courage up, and I followed it, and I watched it, and I saw it like come up out of the computer tower. Like, it was bizarre. The next, later that evening, next thing you know, all of her files were gone. All of her UFO material, everything was gone. So she asked me the obvious question, you know, she's like, do you think? And I said, yes, I do. I mean, to me, it's obvious. I mean, if this thing walked into your house, you dreamed of it before, this thing came and it took information off of her computer, like literally, as a shadow being, like a demonic entity. So I started thinking about that, and I started wondering about it, and this one kept me up at night, man. I was sitting there going like, what is that? Like, what are we dealing with there? Like, what is that? I believe she was sincere. She was frightened. You know, sometimes her husband goes out of town and she's by herself. I get it. And so I asked her how religious she was. She said, not really, not very. She doesn't really go to church. A lot of people don't. But she said that she believes in God. She's a Christian. She believes in Christ. And she goes, I try not to do bad things, like most normal people try not to. And she said that it was a terrifying incident. And she asked me why would it do it that way? And I said, why not? If these things are a type of electromagnetic energy, just vibrational energy, why wouldn't it just go into your mainframe and just walk out with all your information? But it's a scary thought to think about. And she asked me, did I think, why would it want all the information? I said, what depends on what you had. She started telling me some of the stuff she had. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. But think about this. And now somebody threw this out there. Somebody that she's friends with, that she worked with, said, what if this was an alien entity, alien presence that was using that ability sort of to cloak, and it thought that it was being unseen, but she could see it. Now, I think the reason that she could see it is because she has what we call the second sight. Second sight being that you can see spirits. Because these alien beings, I think they know a lot more about the nature of our reality than we do. And I think that they know how to manipulate it and manipulate the matrix in a way that we don't. And I think that they are so used to being undetected that's what was going on there. And so I told her that. I said it could have been anything that went in there and did that. Could have been an alien presence. An alien can be anything. It could be a demon. It's just an alien. I mean, they're alien to us, But tell me what you think of that. I mean, what would do that, or have the reason to do that, if it was some sort of demonic entity and it was taking, this information that she had been stockpiling on her computer? There's no telling what these things can do. I can't tell you how many times I've been told, that people have seen shadow beings and then they're abductees, or somebody in the house is an abductee. So give me your opinions on that. I don't know. A lot of people are going to bed. Why are you guys going to bed so early at midnight on a Friday night, man? That's why we did this Friday night, so we could stay up later. And everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to bed." Am I putting you to sleep? Am I the guy from Missouri? I'm putting you to sleep, man. Don't do it.
Or the other one who's putting you to sleep with a chokehold.
Put you to sleep. Hell yeah. I'm not going to say any names. I was told not to say any names. Yeah, West Coast Project, Astros versus Phillies, probably. And everybody's predicting that the Phillies are going to beat them this year because they're determined. Bryce Harper's playing out of his mind. But, it could still be the Rangers. And Tony, pan the camera to Tony. Tony's wearing his Rangers hat. I'm wearing the Astros hat. But we like both teams sometimes. I mean,
it's a win-win for us.
Yeah, it don't matter who wins.
It's like the Texans, Cowboys.
Yeah, Texans, Cowboys. I like the Cowboys over the
Texans. I prefer the Astros over the Rangers, but
I
both
prefer
teams.
the Astros, but I take either one of them, man. I'd love to see the Rangers. If the Rangers go, they need to win it. I want them to win it because that'd be really cool to have the Astros win it one year, Rangers win it the next. I know they may not like each other because they've set it up that way, but here I like both. I saw a guy. They showed a picture of the game, and he was wearing a half Rangers shirt, half Astros shirt, like a jersey. I thought that was pretty creative. He did a good job on that. But it's a win-win for me, man. I don't really care. I'll take either one of them, dude. Texas goes. I'm glad. I'm taking the Rangers, Texas Rangers, or the Houston Astros, either one. But folks, I don't know what we're looking at. I don't know what we're dealing with here. There's so many different complexities to this. And then you got Bigfoot, you got Dogman. Some people see them with aliens, like what Jesus Payan saw, And when you start going in, as they keep, beat the term to death, the rabbit hole, you start winding down the rabbit hole. You come out the other side going like, what in the hell am I dealing with? Like, really, what are we dealing with? We don't know. We don't know. That's why we're here, and we were doing what we were doing and doing, just having fun and doing what we did until these pendejos came and decided that, They're just going to pretend and fake it and whatever, you know. And like I said before, I mean, what do you want, the real or the fake? Hey, Mike, how you doing? Hey, Holly M, 86, everybody. You know, what do you want? Shade Viking, hey. It seems to me that they have audiences. I mean, they don't have as big audiences as we do. No matter what their subs say, they pretend like they have big audiences. Funny that the guy from Abdominal Indigestion, he keeps saying that he's got the same numbers. No, you don't. No, you shut up. No, you don't. I don't know what did his chat even have, and I don't even know, and I don't care. It probably didn't even break 200 because it's. I keep saying this. Go to the kids' table, man, until it's time to go to the big boy court. All right. I'm gonna let them I'm gonna let them tell it, dude. From now on, all right. They can make and say whatever. They've been exposed, and they've got some of their allies that are crying out too because they know that I exposed them. So they're like, they're coming forward. Is anybody else tired of this guy? Of course you're tired of me. Why wouldn't you be tired of me? I'm in your face telling everybody you're fake. Why wouldn't you be tired? Of course you're exhausted. Defending lies is hard work, isn't it? It gets you really tired. Defending the truth is easy. All you got to do is be like, well, here's the truth right there. But when you got to defend lies upon lies, then you got to tell more lies and more lies and more lies until you're buried under an avalanche of lies. The avalanche of lies. And then it doesn't end. You know, and you got to keep doing it. But that's the problem, you know, folks. So I don't know if we're going to be back Sunday. We'll let you know. We'll make an announcement if we're going to do Sunday. I think we will. I mean, we're re-signing the lease here, so we're gonna be here for at least another year at this spot. You know, I mean, it's a good thing. I think we didn't have to move. We just got to move all of our stuff. We got to bring all of our merchandise and everything back in. But that's fine. You know, it is what it is. We'll be okay. I appreciate everybody who's been sticking with us through this whole ordeal. You know, good people, really good people. Everybody's been great. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to tell you. We're going to try whatever is left of the Patreon. We're going to try and get it out to you. Get it out. There are a few people who had said that we owed them something. Re-message me because I am getting 100-something messages a day. But I am literally sitting there trying to answer them. Am I not? Am I trying?
Yeah. One thing that would help both Wolf and you if you're a Patreon member is if you're gonna message him, just send your message on Patreon.
Yeah,
because if you send it to his Facebook Messenger, chances are it's gonna get buried. But you know, underneath 500 other messages. The same thing with the email. If you got your stories, you know, the email is good for that to send them. But if you're a Patreon member and you want to address something pertaining to Patreon, please send a message on Patreon. It'll be easier to find it and keep track of it.
Yeah. And to those of you who haven't been really paying attention and who aren't really up on what's going on or whatever, this stuff will eventually come to an end, okay? And all this ridiculousness and whatever can be put to bed, hopefully. And hopefully they'll just leave us alone and they'll know not to mess with us again. Maybe they'll just leave me be. Let's do this, folks. I'm going to tell you. Let's pray, okay, that they leave us alone because they are mass reporting my videos. So they're suppressing us. And so we're not able to get the new subscribers or numbers are not good. We're getting like 500 as opposed to what we were getting, which was like 18 to 1900. And so it happened to Hellbent Holler. They did it to Bettina. Nasty. That's dirty pool. I don't personally go and report anybody's anything. I don't give a crap what they do. That's not important enough. But if people would do me that favor, if they're saying things now, I don't support saying anything about somebody's video. If they're not saying anything negative about me or PRT or these guys or my wife or anybody else, or as long as they're not saying nasty, mean things and they're just doing their bullcrap, whatever, I don't care. Let them. If you feel like it's in violation, then you know, then you're fair game as far as I'm concerned. But I don't play the way they play. They're dirty, and people are encouraging me all the time to go and do whatever they're doing. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. You stoop to their level, then you're no better than them. And you can't relish in what happens bad to somebody, even if they're a bad person, you don't like them. That's not correct either. We're not here to do that. You're not supposed to be all like, yeah, that's what you get. It's hard not to, and it's hard not to respond. I continue to say this, and I will say this again today. I do not respect them. I have no respect for them. 0, 0, 0. Other people may respect them or become friends with them. I don't give a crap what they do. And don't believe the hype. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, the stuff they're saying is not. They're making up false stuff. Let me tell you something. I don't respect them in any shape or form, at all. Okay, I don't. I have no respect for them. I keep telling them, if you want me to respect you, show me a reason to respect you. I don't respect them as podcasters / YouTubers. I don't respect them as researchers. They're not authors. None of them can write. One of them was talking about having a book. You ain't wrote no book, dude. What are you talking about? Shut up. What you talking about, Willis? Comic books or something like that. Maybe you made a comic book up or something. I don't know, but you need to stop making up stories, man. I'll tell you that. The people that are doing all this are saying all this nonsense, okay? And like I said, I'm not going to say their names. I was told not to say, so I'm not going to do it. But I will say this, okay? The truth will come out. And then maybe 100% we can go back to work like we were doing. If you ask yourself this, when it came after the conference, there was no beef. There was no whatever going on. Everything was fine. We were doing good. We had momentum. We were doing our shows. We were up to 4 shows a week, and they were mad. They were mad. They were saying that I went to them and told them not to do their shows on this. Who the hell am I to go tell you not to do your show from your bathroom at 4 a.m? I don't give a crap. Let the roaches hold the camera. I don't care what. Stand on your head. What do I wear a coconut on your head for? Like, I don't give a crap what you do. Just don't talk about us and me and my family and my people and whatever. And really, truly, you can make fun of me all you want. I don't really care. But me is I represent PRT. I represent my nephews, my wife, everybody involved. Okay? But I'm not going to sit here and let you attack Abe and Bettina and Hellbent Holler and all the other friends of mine, Jerry and Ella and everybody else that's my friend. You're not going to do that. You're not going to sit there and tee off on people and say all the nasty, mean, awful things. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call you out on it. But if you're willing to shut up and go away, 2 of you, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay? There's 2 of you that are going to be, I'm coming. There's nothing I don't give a crap if you sign the Galactic Federation come down and say, we're going to disintegrate you if you don't, and I'd still do it. Then disintegrate me, because it's not going to happen. So there's 2 of you, there's no hope. I don't care what happens. The other 2, or 3, you can just walk off. If you leave me alone, leave you alone. I haven't filed anything yet. I'm coming out publicly and saying it. I haven't done it yet. But I've got a bunch of information, and you started it. You did. And if you just leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. It's as simple as that. Don't open your mouth. Stop bragging and talking crap. I don't care what you give to those people. Give all you want. But when people see what you're doing and what you're giving, and when you see what happens, then maybe they're going to think about it, And I will continue to say this. Fake numbers, fake numbers, fake numbers. I don't care. Somebody had messaged me. She was all up in arms. She's like, why did you bring up this social blade thing? This whole thing started because you said something about. I said, lady, let me tell you something. Okay, you're not my friend. Stop saying you're my friend. You're not my friend. I don't care if you're listening. You're not my friend. I told her, I said, you don't know me. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's being said because you don't care. You like those people. You want to defend them. I get it. You like them. You're loyal. That's good. You're loyal. Not good in the right way, though. Let me tell you something. They're fake numbers, okay? If you want to be a part of hoaxery and fraud and fakery and lies, then you go ahead and go peddle and hang out with them. But I told her, I said, I'm going to tell you this. It goes beyond social blade. You need to look up these people. Find out what's going on with these people. Look into their backgrounds. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then one of them said, "Oh, I haven't started saying anything yet." "Oh, really? You haven't? Because you've been going tit for tat with me, and you're saying you haven't started saying anything. You better get started then. I don't know what's going to look like when you start, because you've been doing it every day. So what's going on? I mean, you got worse? It's worse? That implies that it's going to get worse for me.
Oh no.
Oh my God. What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm just shaking in my shoes, dude. I am so, look at my face. Look at how scared I am. You see it? You see the fear on my face? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's very unenthusiastic fear. I am completely crestfallen and I am scared, okay? I am terrified. Okay? Shut up, okay? I don't respect you. I don't care who you make friends with. If he's claiming some outlandish crap, I don't believe that. I don't even care if it was real. Okay? I wouldn't give a crap. Okay? You could make friends. You could bring Gandhi back up from the dead and make friends with them. I don't care who you make friends with. Joseph Stalin, whoever. Genghis Khan. I don't give a crap if you and Shaquille O'Neal are best friends in the world. I don't care who your friend is. Queen of England, France, I don't care. You're not impressing me. You're not impressing me with your fake articles. Shut up. Just shut up. I do not respect you. I don't respect you. And I'll say that in perpetuity. Okay? So just be quiet. Nobody wants to hear you fire off every day and say stupid things or whatever. And he says anything that comes to his mind. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Folks, I was abducted by a turnip. That's right. A clan of turnips abducted me. And they did some very bad things. I'm going to tell you right now. But by the time it was over, you know what? I had them all being my friend. And now they're all selling crack for me. Because that's what turnips do in the hood. All right? I'm going to write that story today, folks. I'm going to tell you all about it. Abduction, Operation Turnip. It's coming. My new book, my comic book. Like, just anything pops into his head, I'm gonna go type that up. I'm gonna go say that. You know, I don't even know how it works with this guy.
Well, you know what's so like one thing I noticed on Social Blade, if you go and look up the Prince Hall Voodoo Priests YouTube channel, yeah. So go look up Prince Hall Voodoo Priests YouTube channel on Social Blade. You know who I'm talking about, and. In January of this year, and this is all right there, it's on the public record, and you can even look at the graphs. In January of this year, in 1 month, his channel gained 30,000 subscribers. Now, if you look at the previous months, it's just like this kind of stagnant, very slow growth, and then there's this huge uptick, like 30,000 subscribers. Then the graph shoots way up here in January, and then February it kind of tapers off, and then March kind of tapers off. But the strange thing is that in 3 months, he gained like probably 40, 50,000 subscribers in 3 months. Okay, now fast forward to April, right? In April, his channel has 74 million fewer views than on average. So how do you gain 30,000 subscribers, and 3 months later you have 74 million fewer views than your average view count? Like your average monthly view count goes down by 74 million. When you gain like 40,000 subscribers, how does that work? It doesn't work because it's not real. It's all fake. It's garbage.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I'm going to put together the bestest conference that's ever been in the universe. If you guys haven't seen this, I'm telling you, this conference is going to be like, it's the best.
It's the bee's knees.
There's going to be no conference that's ever come before. In fact, we had a conference talking about the conference because it's going to be such a good conference. We're going to do hot dogs, and we're going to sit around the fire, and we're going to, well, that's about it. I'm probably not going to do much else. But somebody's going to be throwing some rocks, and there's probably going to be a Bigfoot. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say, and I'm sick and tired of y'all saying that me was trying to fake, because I'm not fake. All right. I asked my buddy Swamp Ass. He'll tell you the truth right there. He'll tell you. We don't fake our numbers except for on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's it. On those days, that's the only days we're fake. Every other day, we're not fake. And that's only a few days out of the year right there. Every day. That's about how ridiculous it is. And so I'm actually kind of bored with playing with these people, man, because it's just stupid. Okay. They have nothing new. It's just the same old dribble, drawl, whatever. Then they're not coming up with. They're not going to. They have nothing. And there's never going to be anything else. So, what they want us to do though is let our guard down so they can try to sneak in infiltrate with their fake numbers and their fake trolls and their fake YouTube accounts. They have a bunch of fake Facebook accounts. You know, we thought we were fighting like an army. We're fighting like a few guys and a few unhinged supporters. But it taught us a lesson, though, folks, didn't it? About how a few people, what damage they can do to a community. So we have to be vigilant, folks, and we have to stay on our toes, all right? And I'm not going to sit here and baby these people, okay? You keep coming at me, trying to hurt us and whatever, and you're going to get gangsta slap all over the internet, okay? It's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening. And they keep talking and keep doubling down, keep talking, okay? So go ahead, keep doing and saying what you're doing, okay? There's going to be an example made of a couple of you, and then if the other ones want it, they can get some of that too. It's up to them what they want to do, because these things take money. It takes money to go around suing people. People talking about, I'm gonna sue you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You ain't gonna do nothing. Shut up, you're fat. I'm gonna tell you right now. You ain't going to do nothing. You're not going to do nothing. You're not going to do nothing. I'm going to say it again. You're not going to do nothing. I don't care what you have. It costs money. Okay? Big boy. Put your money where your mouth is. Stop, take the food out for a minute and put your money there. Okay? Let's talk about that. You know, it takes money and a commitment. Okay? Any fool in their right mind can see what this is. You guys were jealous because you're fake. And you're very fake, yeah, you are. And you're very angry, having a temper tantrum because you're fake. And people called you out on it. And then they've called in every favor that has ever been out there for them, harassing people, telling them that blackmail, anything they could get on somebody, telling people, hey, you need to help us here. Come on and go do this and go do that. I've heard the most outlandish stories this week of what they're doing, telling people, messing with people, making threats, crazy, crazy stuff. Do your own work. Do real work. Stop using AI generated. Stop using fake subs, you know, or figure out how the subs work with the views. I don't know exactly.
Well, yeah, when your subs go up, your views are supposed to go up.
Yeah. So
Like
I guess
when you
you
look
have
at
to buy views to match the subs, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna buy subs, then if you, yeah, you should be smart about it. If you're gonna fake it and buy the views to go with it, like buy the bots that actually view the, you know, like it's just. And if you go on a Social Blade and look at our stuff, the graphs are nice and pretty. When our subscribers go up, our average views go up. When our subscribers go down, our average monthly views go down. That's how it's supposed to look. It's not supposed to look like a 50,000 subscriber uptick and then 2 months later you have 74 million fewer views. That's not how it works.
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
Like
make
our
any
channel looks normal. If you look at a Hellbent Hollers channel, theirs is the same thing. That there are months when they get like slight upticks in subscribers, and their views will correlate with that. When they get a little bit fewer subscribers the next month, same thing with their views. They get a little bit fewer views because that's normal. It's organic growth.
Mm-hmm. I remember when Barton called me. I was on the phone with him and Truth from an Impromptu Truth, and I had Vault and what's his name on there, John Bell. We were all in a conversation together, and they were telling me, you know, about the Social Blade thing, and Truth had just talked to me earlier about it, and he was on the phone with me, and it was, you know, Barton had said that day, I think he had said that it was something like $5 a sub, right? But that's not correct.
No, that's way too expensive.
Expensive, yeah. We found out, well, today that it costs, get this, folks, and I bet these people they're gnashing their teeth. They hate that we're talking about this. It costs $37.99. I believe that's what Barton told me. $37.99 for 2,500 subs. So not even $40 will buy you 2,500 subs on the YouTube platform. dude, that's a problem. That is a problem. And I hope YouTube can, I know YouTube's got their hands full, whatever, but I hope they can figure it out. And I hope they can flush these people out. Because that's crazy. You know, I had a phone conversation with BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We were talking about all this mess. And he brought up another person that's been doing that, faking it. Yeah, they're faking it. And it's really sad because a very, very dear friend of mine, very close friend of mine in this community, his girlfriend was good friends with that guy. And I told him yesterday, we were talking on the phone, I said, I don't want to break her heart and tell her. And he starts laughing and he goes, honey, he didn't want to break your heart. And she's like, oh, we already know. I was like, wow. But, you know, nobody outed him, you know, because people want to be nice. But I think the time for being nice is over, folks. I'm sorry. But if you're faking it, and then you ain't making it. And I think you got to go. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're just this guy from the swamp or you're the guy up in Oklahoma or whatever, or the two guys in Oklahoma. I don't care where you are, where you're from, or you're the sleepy guy with the potato with the Missouri. Look, if you're fake and you're using those fake numbers to pad your stats or whatever, then you shouldn't be taken seriously as a researcher. I also think that if you're out there writing fiction, you shouldn't be taken seriously. How is somebody who writes fiction going to be taken seriously as a researcher? Think about it, folks. I mean, let's do common sense here. All right? If you have over 150,000 subs and you have a show you drop and that show only gets 3,000 to 6,000 views, I mean, what's going on with that? Like we get 2 to 3 times that many after, a month or two that you go back and look and that's still the same. I mean, something's not right. Something's not adding up. And so I was wondering that. But I didn't know what Social Blade was. And I'm so busy, and I'm not telling you that I should have done my due diligence. We're busy as hell. We work.
Yeah.
We work.
I mean, one litmus test is that on average, a YouTube channel should get for views, they should get about 5% the number of views as they have the number of subscribers. That's like the bare minimum. So, like, okay, for Prince Hall Swamp Priest's channel, 167,000 subscribers, right? 5% of that is 8,350. That means, like, whenever a channel that large with that many subscribers releases a video, the views should average out at the bare minimum of 8,350. But if you just go to the channel and you just scroll, almost none of them have that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, our channel's at what, 28.4? Right?
28.4. No, 28.5.
That's 28.5.
Okay.
28.5.
Do the math on 28.5.
Yeah, we should already be at 30 by now, but these little miscreants with their calling in on us and reporting our stuff and we get suppressed.
Yeah, so 5% of our subscriber count is about 1,400 views. So like,
we get way more than that.
Yeah, because our channel's real, like with real people. We don't have bots.
Yeah, and we've grown. It took us 4 years to get here, and all these other people are talking. And then when they started this beef, they were comparing themselves to either saying that we were the same size or that they were bigger than us. And they were like, "Oh, these smaller channels, they just jealous of us." Jealous of what? Of your bad views? Because I was shocked to see so many subs on these channels and then such squatty little views. One of them, I think he's got like 8,000 or something like that. And then his chat nearly has like no more than 40 or 50 people from what the screenshots showed me. I don't know. I don't go and watch their shows. I don't give them any views. I refuse to do it. I won't do it. Everybody that I get, somebody sends it to me, a little whatever. I don't. The minute they do something, I'm hearing about it, and they think that they're doing something. You're not doing anything. I mean. But anyways, folks, that's what's going on. We're hoping we'll let you know by tomorrow if we're going to do Sunday. If you don't hear anything, then let's just plan for Sunday. I'll try to get this stuff together. and we'll do a show for Sunday, folks. Thank you to everybody who donated. We don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know what we're going to need. I want to say one last thing before I go. One of these guys, he accused me of saying I was going to quit to create a false scarcity. Okay, that's not true. Their harassment and their crap made us want to quit. And then we didn't know if we were going to come back. And like I said before, it wasn't just my decision. I can't. What is that? What kind of bug is this?
It's a moth.
That's not a moth. It's green.
Oh, yeah.
He's
That's
a
a
little green dude.
That's a spider.
It's not a spider. I don't want to kill it for no reason. It's not bothering me. But so, anyways, folks, he tried to make this crazy, outlandish accusation. Every day he types up some more crazy, outlandish accusations, and they just get funnier and funnier, worse and worse. But what?
Well, I just think Mike bugged our office with that thing.
Bugged our office. Don't say his name. Let's not talk about him. But here's the thing. That is nothing could be further from the truth. We didn't do, and I wanted to keep going. I said that. I'm tired, and I'm war weary. But you know what? We have to keep pushing. We have to keep going. We can't just give up because people want us to. Because when I saw how happy they were about it and how much they wanted that, I was like, I told everybody, no, we got to keep doing this. We got to keep going. But it wasn't just up to me. Anthony was one of the people that was all for quitting. I mean,
Yeah.
do you want to tell him?
Well, I mean, I was the one who first like threw it out there, like, hey, I mean, like I know this is kind of splitting our focus here, and it's gonna be too hard. It's gonna be really difficult to do both. So maybe we should just kind of
Step
back, pack it in, and I don't know, because at that time, things really like came to a head and got really stressful. I mean, and they're still stressful, but it felt like it was costing us too much emotionally, and our stress levels were through the roof. And I don't like putting my name on something, and I know Wolf doesn't like putting his name on something that is just going to be crap. I mean, we care about like the things that we create, the things that we produce, because we are given the ability to create, to produce, to be creative, unlike these other people who can only twist, pervert, and to take something that someone else has created and just slap a coat of paint on it and say, oh yeah, this is mine, I did this, because they have no real brain function. So we didn't want to keep like putting out content that was going to be compromised by all this drama, or the content whose quality was going to be compromised by all this drama, and that would just be a disservice to y'all, and y'all give us your time. You deserve a proper return on that time, because like I said, there are no refunds on time, so we owe it to you when you give us that time to give you something of quality. And if we're not going to do that, then we shouldn't give you anything, because we'd rather give you nothing than give you like a turd.
Yeah, we're not going to present something that's
yeah. But these other channels that they just give out turds all the time, so they don't care. What do they care?
Well, yeah, and they've been actually getting views from us.
Yeah.
When they plaster my name all over a YouTube video. See, that's the thing. You don't get to go sue somebody after you plaster their name all over a YouTube video. This one guy, he plastered my name all up on there. I didn't give him permission to do that. And then he goes on to make false claims and false accusations. That's why I'm not worried about these people. Aren't going to sue you. They're not going to sue. They've already done too much crap. They've made threats. They've done all kinds of crap. What lawyer's going to look at that and go, "Yo, let's go. We got a case here." That's why I'm waiting for them to try that, because it's going to cost them a bunch of money. You're going to pay the court fees, not me. So that's what's going to happen. The other two, though, those people making accusations of saying all this ridiculous stuff, they know what they did. We got them. I mean, that's a done deal. But anyways, I'm not worried about all these foolish people. It's don't even. I have no respect for these people. You have nothing to worry about these people. They're not gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing plus nothing equals nothing. You got to have something if you want to mess with me. That's what I said. So, all right, folks, thank you. And we will see you on Sunday. We're going to have some stories ready for you to go. We're going to go and check out what we've been sent. We got some pretty interesting things that have popped up. We're going to see what we got. And we'll get it done, folks. John Sublime, we're praying for you. Pray for him. He needs some help, man. There's a bunch of people out there that need help. We have the Paranormal Roundtable prayer group. Nellie wanted me to remind people. A lot of people asking for prayers on Facebook. That's where you find it. And the Paranormal Lounge, which is Nellie's group. And then I don't really have a group. I just have Paranormal Roundtable, the group, whatever. And then we have the paranormal. I think she created a holistic medicine one or something. I don't want to just say whatever. What's it called?
I forgot what it's called.
Healing or something. I have to
Paranormal
ask.
healing.
I've
Or
been so
something.
busy with everything. I feel bad. She did create a board game too. She did, and then they helped. And then the people from Dragon's Lair. Don't forget, I'm doing a book signing on the 27th, the 29th, and then. People from Dragon's Lair, they're looking at the game or whatever, and it may be something that's going to be cool. It'll stand on its own. This thing doesn't stay up. Look at that. Look at that. It goes down. Look at that.
You just got to turn that little triangle.
Yeah, I don't
bolt right
believe in
there.
that because this thing, I do it all the time and it doesn't work. I don't believe. See,
That's
doesn't
because
care.
you're not doing it right.
It doesn't matter. I do it every time. Look at this. I'll try to do it again. I'll do
You
it
didn't
again.
even turn it.
You'd have to be He-Man to turn. It won't turn anymore. This is as turny as it'll go. Look at that. It just.
I just don't think you're believing enough.
Well, don't stop believing. But I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to fix this. Anyways, folks, enough of this sorcery they're doing on me over here. I will say this, okay? I don't ever encourage people to read bad press about me, but go to my Facebook and look at this article that this guy wrote, The Hunt Dog Man. Go read it. I encourage you to read it. People would say, "Oh, why would you want people to read that? It's bad." But I don't care because it's so comical. It's so ridiculous. Go read his ridiculousness, his mess. It's goofy. You can all have a good laugh because it's full of crap. All right. Anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on Sunday. Thanks to Robert Kryder, our guest. He did a great job coming in. He's an awesome guy. I enjoyed my conversations with him. Everybody, thank you and good night. And hopefully maybe one day we can put all this other stuff behind us and we can get back to the giveaways. But for now, I was advised not to do it because of one sorry person who had to go ruin it. So sorry about that, folks. But we do want to get started back on that again at some point. In the meantime, though, you can always go and purchase merchandise from the PRT store. We have a lot of different shirts, too. And once we start doing like if we get to start doing mail offs again, if we're told, hey, you can do it, whatever, then we can show you the different designs and sizes and maybe we can send them to you. Or you guys can buy them. If you don't win, you can buy them. Anyways, folks, thank you so much. Check out my books, Werewolves and the Dogman Phenomena on Amazon and the Bigfoot Phenomena on Amazon. Those books are selling really well. Thank you and good night.